Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind.
Perché corriamo?
Per la gloria? Per il podio?
もしくは自分の国のためか。
The winner of the Nations Cup is going to secure his spot for the World Finals automatically.
And we are going for the grand final here at the Nürburgring. Well tour 2, Igor Fraga leads us down to the first corner.
Et tous les pilotes d'Asie, d'Océanie et d'Europe
Veulent tous viser la plus haute marche du podium.
It's going to be Lopez and Fraga then, and it's going to be absolutely amazing. Lukowski has to try and invent something. He's so close. What a Nations Cup final we have. Lopez defensive. Fraga tries the long way round. Lukowski into the back of Lopez. Big drama.
Os América do Sul domina.
Igor Fraga wins the Nations Cup final.
Hello and welcome to the FIA certified Gran Turismo Championships, coming to you live from New York City. Yesterday was all about the Manufacturer Series, so team racing with Mercedes getting their first ever first place on the podium. But today is all about the Nations Cup, so it's all about the individual drivers' skills and abilities under pressure. Now, if you are new to the championships and you'd like to know exactly where we are in this year's format, let me break it down for you. We started off the year in Paris before moving to Germany. Our third stop on the tour is, of course, New York in the United States of America. Next up, we're going to be going to Salzburg. After that, Tokyo. And then just announced our finals will be held in Monaco. The Nations Cup is all about individual driver performances. They have a whole lot of pressure on their shoulders, and where they place on the grid is hugely important to how they're going to fare in the race. So moving into that, in our third fastest time, we have Jonathan Wong. In second position, we have Igor Fraga, who of course is the winner of last year's Nations Cup. And then in first position, we have Cody Lukowski, a guy who I spoke to before all of this kicked off, who said he was going to win everything. And it kind of looks like he might actually do that, having been part of Team Mercedes winning the Manufacturer Series yesterday. Jimmy had a chance to have a bit of a chat with him and find out more.
So I'm joined by Cody Lukowski, the fastest qualifier overall in the Nations Cup qualifying session. Cody, first of all, congratulations. And of course, the first pole position ever at Spa must feel pretty special.
Yeah, thank you, Jimmy. It really does. I mean, Spa's my favorite track. And it's really a big honor to get the first pole position there.
Was it a challenge to adapt to this kind of car? I mean, you're primarily a Mercedes driver for the most part, and
yeah.
The Red Bull X2019 is a bit different from that. How did you find jumping into that?
It's an interesting car. I mean, like you said, I love Mercedes-Benz, but I think I also pretty much like the Red Bull too. It's got that tricky kind of skill curve that you need to master. And yeah, at a track like Spa, it's very hard to nail a lap.
Tell us how important it is to position your car correctly around here on that, because these Red Bull X2019s, lots of downforce, and that can kind of be a good and a bad thing if you're following someone. If you're following someone up the straight, you get a nice toe, but through the corners, you get the wash. Did you find that to be an issue at all when you were out there?
The big problem with this car is that you really need to get a clean lap in. You might have a faster first sector if you're behind someone, but the entire lap is compromised after the first split, and that's it. But in terms of positioning, I'd say you need to get through the corners, make sure that you don't exit onto any curves, because this car really gets unsettled by curbs on the acceleration. And yeah, the way I drive, I just throw the car into every corner and just hope it sticks.
Well, it's a good way of doing it, isn't it? And
yeah.
I guess most importantly for you here, faster than both Mick Hazel and Igor Fraga, who are probably considered to be your main rivals. Is that a good psychological boost for you?
Of course. I mean, my confidence just jumped up immediately after I beat Mikael in the first session. And then watching Fraga in the second one, I was like biting my nails every lap. He had like whole 10 minutes. Always within 1/10 of my time, is getting like 56.1s, 56.1 all the time. And on the last few minutes, I was kind of like holding my breath. And the moment it happened, I was the fastest overall. I was just like jumping on the inside. My heart was almost out of my chest.
Well, Cody, thank you so much for joining us, and a big congratulations for that pole position. Let's hope you can convert it into a win later on today.
Thank you, Jimmy. No problem.
As you can see, Cody is not short of confidence, but that can be the difference of winning and losing in these races. Now, if you're not sure how the Nations Cup breaks down, let's take a look at the format. We have 24 drivers, each racing in 2 semi-finals. Now, the top 4 out of each of those semi-finals will move forward to the main grand final, but then we also have positions 5 to 10 who maybe don't make it through the first time, but in the repechage, the top 4 will then go to the final race to make the final 12 drivers, where we will have 1 Nations Cup winner. We want to hear from you, though, so do hit us up on social media. The usual places: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We also want to know who you think is the Michelin driver of the day. You need to get on there and get voting and get your voice heard. But now it's time to kick it over to my wingmen for the weekend, Tom and Jimmy.
Thank you very much indeed, Julia. Yep, welcome up to the commentary box, and look at the crowd here in New York. It's World Tour 3 of the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships. My name is Tom Brooks. Alongside me, Jimmy Broadbent. Great to be back. Manufacturer Series yesterday was thrilling. Nations Cup, we've got 24 drivers. We've got the top 6 qualifier coming up as well very shortly. What are we expecting for this one?
I guess a fist fight, to be kind. I mean, we have the best drivers in the world here at Gran Turismo, flown all the way over to New York to perform for us live, and it's never a bad thing, is it, Tom?
No, it really isn't. No, it is great to be here. Of course, we had the qualifying session yesterday, and we spoke to Cody Lakowski, taking that first pole position. He was pretty thrilled with that, rightly so as well.
Well, I mean, if you, again, consider the competition here, to come away pole from that is absolutely fantastic. And again, from my interview, he was very confident and very happy with that result.
Yeah, absolutely right. Let's get into the top 6 qualifier then, shall we, here in New York. So Spa-Francorchamps Red Bull X 2019 cars. And of course, this decides the top 6 grid positions ahead of the semi-finals here today. So it's going to be interesting, this one, isn't it, to see how people are going to get on. This, of course, is a brand new circuit, Spa-Francorchamps, to Gran Turismo Sport. And, well, Jimmy, we've both had a chance to drive it, and as expected, it is absolutely beautiful.
It's fantastic. A shame about my driving, though. I'm terrible around this circuit, but yeah, a brand new addition to Gran Turismo Sport coming sometime in the future. And basically, we heard you. This has been a bit of a meme over the course of the last few months of Gran Turismo Sport, and it's finally here, and it's just great to have it in game. So right now, our guys are out on the circuit, just starting their out lap. Mick Hazal coming on to his flying lap. And this decides the, well, it's top 6 qualifier, so it decides who's going to be starting on pole in our first race. Now, Mick Hazal has been someone who we think tends to enjoy the Red Bull X 2010, or X 2019, I should say, sorry. He likes the downforce, likes the way the car grips from the corners, as does Igor Fraga, of course, who is someone who drives a downforce car in real life, an F3 driver, recently won a race at the Red Bull Ring, so a big clap there for Igor. And as does Jonathan Wong. He's always around, isn't he? He's always in this top lot. He always seems to be towards the sharp end of the field, and hopefully today maybe he can go that one step further and maybe take a victory somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely right. We've seen Jonathan Wong in previous World Tour events, of course, finished 12th in the Nations World Final last year, 3rd in the Asia Oceania Final, and 6th in the World Tour Nations Final at the Salzburg event, of course, as well. So be interesting to see how he gets on in the Red Bull X 2019s. Here's Cody Lakowski, your pole man from the overall qualifying session yesterday. What is the Australian Macedonian driver going to be able to do in this session? Adam Lasource then, this is the run down the hill, up through Eau Rouge, then Raidillon on towards the Kemmel Straight. And it's just such a brilliant part of the lap, Jimmy. It's one of those parts of the lap that needs no introduction because it's so well recognised within all of motorsports.
The thing is you think it's easy flat in a lot of cars, and this car it is because of the downforce. So we were driving around here in Group 3 cars earlier. My word, getting through there is difficult. I have no problem saying I did make a bit of a dash for my time around. So there's Cody, braking very late coming in to Lake Como, and now you want to get the car over to the left-hand side, then dart to the right, downhill towards Rivage. This corner is very tricky because it's downhill and sideways on the curb. The curbs are quite slippery around here in this thing. Again, I was speaking to Patrick Blajan earlier, telling me the curbs in this car do not go together, so staying off the curb is a good idea. Speaking of Patrick Blajan, he's going around now to set his first qualifying lap. Time is going to be, it's a 2:01.3, not towards the sharp end. We're predicting somewhere underneath 2 minutes quite comfortably, so we're looking to go a bit quicker here. speaking of, Mick Gazelle also out on the lap. Not quite up to pace right now. I think this is going to be his fly. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner there, all the commentators that take part in this event. You might have seen if you're live here, our little ritual we have at the start of each event. But pretty much every language accounted for here. It's fantastic to see everyone here.
It really is. 7 different languages, 14 different commentators to guide you through the action here in Gran Turismo. So this now is going to be the final flying lap for these drivers in this session. Look at Jonathan Wong. He comes over the line at 1:58.3959. That is more of a representative lap time as we're expecting to see. But Igor Fraga is absolutely obliterating the competition. He's nearly a second under Wong's time on his first flying lap. Over the line comes Fraga, and he goes with a 1:57.4 to the top of the timesheets.
Well, we said Igor liked downforce, and there's your proof right there, going provisional fastest. Cody not too far off in the background there, comes out of the bus stop. Be careful on the throttle out here. Very easy to spin the tyres if you're not careful. Cody comes across the line, nearly half a second behind Igor Fraga. So one more stab at it, so they'll have a go through here. Patrick Blajan is now setting a very fast time through the first sector, almost identical to our current provisional pole sitter, now coming up to the pit path or the Fania chicane. You can carry so much speed through here in these cars. It doesn't feel like you can do it, but the car just has supreme grip. And now coming up to Stavro 1. And then Stavro 2, which is easy flat. Bit of a slide on the way in there for Patrick. That's going to slow him down a little bit. Also, the middle sector looking like he's 2 tenths down now, Tom.
Yeah, he's really lost a bit of time, as you say, with that slip and slide. What about Mick Gazelle? He's very close, just 700ths of a second away from Fraga's fastest time. If he gets a good run here through Stavolo and then on towards the straight through Blanchimont, he could be on to upset the apple cart. And look at that, he has found time in that third sector. Nearly 1.5 tenths up. Takuma Miyazono not too far away, the Japanese driver as well. He is just a tenth of a second adrift. This is the final flying laps for these drivers in this session. I don't think Blajan is going to be able to do anything. He was 2 tenths of a second down here, Jimmy, in the final sector. But the man we need to keep an eye on is Mikael Hizal. Blajan goes second fastest, though, at the end of the session. But look at Hizal here, Jimmy.
Here's Mick then, 1.4 seconds up, or so 1.4 tenths, I should say, at the last split. Comes across the start-finish line now, surely to go fastest. Yes, he does. It's a 1:57.3, so only just quicker, only half a tenth in it. Here comes Miyazano. Can he go quicker? Currently last in our standings, comes across the line. He does. He goes up to third position. Only a couple of attempts off the top. Jonathan Wong, however, not having a great session. This will not be an improvement for him. We still have a couple of drivers to come. Of course, we have Igor Fraga and Cody Lukowski. Cody is a way off by his own comparison, and Fraga is not going to go quicker. So right now, it's looking very good for Mick Gazelle, but Cody's still yet to complete the lap.
Yeah, let's keep an eye out for Cody Lukowski. Fraga comes over the line. It's not going to be anything to upset the apple cart. He goes over the line. He doesn't improve. He stays second quickest. What about Lukowski? He's lost time in that third sector. He's not had a good lap at all for Lukowski. He might be able to bump himself a bit further up the order, but at the moment he is 5th quickest within this session. So keep an eye out and see what he can do over the line. It's not an improvement there for him. So there we go. Over the line it is for Lukowski. It's 5th quickest at the end of the top 6 qualifying session, but an absolutely brilliant lap there from Mikael Hizal. Takes pole position right at the very end of that session. You can see the drivers just down here on the sim rigs as well, and well, they'll be now refocusing, regrouping, Jimmy, ahead of the semi-finals coming up shortly.
Yeah, it's always good to get the qualifying done and out of the way, but that's not the important part. The important part is the race. Nice to start at the top of the field, of course, but got to do the business later on too.
Certainly have. There is Mikael Hizal. Cool as a cucumber is the German-Turkish driver, and well, keep an eye out and see how he's going to get on over the course of these semi-finals, and then of course into hopefully the finals later on here this afternoon. The good thing is, of course, as we said, we've got that repechage coming up. That's a bit of a last chance saloon for those drivers if they don't make it through in the semis.
I'm not going to reveal what that is yet though, but the repechage is going to be incredibly interesting. I can tell you now. I've got the schedule here. I've got a big grin on my face thinking about it, but it's going to be mad, that.
Let's talk about Mikael Hizal's lap then. That was really spectacular. He had the pressure on him. We saw how quick Fraga was straight out the blocks. He was one of the only drivers to set a representative lap time on his first flying lap, but Hizal came through on that second flyer, just obliterated the competition.
I mean, that can be good and bad though. If you go out fast and set a fast lap straight away, it's kind of a bit of pressure off you, but we saw that Mick just didn't set a lap time first time round, but his second one, as you can see on the screen, or the important one, a 1:57.35, half a tenth ahead of Igor Fraga, who in turn, Miyazano, again, another good session for him, Tom, third position.
Not bad at all for Takuma Miyazono, the Japanese driver. Patrick Blajan there in 4th place. Good to have him back on the World Tour once again this year. Then Cody Lukowski and Jonathan Wong rounding out the top 6 qualifier session. By the way, these drivers won't necessarily be lining up in that order on the grids because, of course, there are two groups. We've got Group A and Group B. That was decided based on the overall qualifying results that we had on the first day of action that we saw earlier on. Julia Hardy, welcome along.
I know, I just suddenly appear out of nowhere.
No elevator this time.
No elevator
No
today.
elevator this time. They kicked me out of that penthouse apartment, which makes no sense if you're just joining us. yesterday. So thanks for having me back up here, guys. I think we want to just dive straight in and go, what are your hot picks? Who are the ones that you want to be looking out for?
Oh, it's really difficult to say. There is such a depth of talent up and down the field. I think it's really hard to look past Randall Hayward, the American driver.
Yep.
On home soil here, we saw how quick he was in the Manufacturer Series yesterday in the BMW. It's a case of if he can do the business. In the qualifier, though, Jimmy, things haven't gone so well for him. 20th fastest.
Yeah, not great for Randall, not good for Anthony Felix either. Someone else who's on the home soil here. And again, qualifiers 20 seconds. But he did say to me that he's not really a fan of the downforce cars. So maybe we'll see him come to life a bit earlier on with the Group 3 cars and whatnot.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, won't it?
I mean, I don't know, like personally for me, if I was on home soil and then all my friends and family turned up, I think I would be really terrible. I think it's better when they're not around. I mean, what do you think?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because some drivers thrive off of that pressure. They thrive having a crowd here, having that spotlight on them. Other drivers, it's a bit of a different sort of kettle of fish. They prefer to be in their own environment and on their own as well. So, you know, sometimes being here at the World Tour doesn't tell the full story of what they're able to achieve when they're in perhaps a more comfortable environment.
That's very, very true. Let's talk a little bit about Patrick Blajan. Like, what's been going on with him? Because he was a name that we've kind of like talked about an awful lot actually since we started, you know, doing the championships. But he's never quite come through in the way that we think he's going to. He's always a name that we talk about, though.
Good poser there as well. You can see.
Look at that.
But yeah, Patrick is someone who has a lot of speed. There's definitely no doubt about that. But you just need that extra tenth, the extra couple of attempts to really put yourself towards the top of the timesheet, and he just never really done that. He's always been a kind of 5th or 6th position, and can never quite break into that top 3, and I'm not sure what he needs for that. Maybe it's a bit of encouragement, maybe he needs a home crowd.
Maybe.
Bring him
I don't know.
Bring in the Hungarians.
There's so many variables we just don't know about. Someone who has kind of really shone through is obviously Cody Lukovsky. Who, you know, obviously came when we talked about this yesterday, was saying he was going to win everything, and he has already. You know, obviously part of Team Mercedes in the Manufacturer Series yesterday, in the top 6 going into today. What do you think? Do you think he's going to be able to keep that confidence moving forward?
I mean, if you look at the statistics there, you look at 2018, he's got 3rd, he's got 3rd rather in the World Finals last year, then 9th. Didn't start off too well for him in 2019 in Paris. Regrouped though for the Nürburgring, came 2nd in the Nations Cup there, 2nd in the Manufacturer Series also at the Nürburgring, and then he's on a high from yesterday as well, having won the Manufacturer Series for Mercedes. So his confidence is high, and he said as much in that interview, Jimmy, as well. So.
Yeah.
Just getting into a swing of things now. I mean, the
he
first time...
He seems really focused, like more than I've ever seen him.
I mean, the first time you come to one of these events, it can be quite intimidating. You've got lights on you, you've got, you know, fabulous live audience most of the time. And,
throwing a bit of shade there, all right.
But at who?
Yeah. But this is one of the things I was thinking about as well. Obviously, you know, we've been doing this for a little while now, and it's like when you first come into this room and there's so many people here and there's lots of, you know, production and cameras and all of this sort of stuff, you don't really know anyone in the room. And that's, you know, going from your bedroom to here is a big jump. But now do you think it's just like we're getting into the swing of the championship? They've got friends that they see here. They start to know some of us and the production stuff, and it's maybe they just feel a bit more comfortable, so they're doing better?
I think the level of community here that we see, you know, the camaraderie between the drivers is absolutely brilliant, you know. And I was actually, funny enough, reading a comment yesterday, and somebody said, well, why is it always the same sort of bunch of drivers? You know,
because they're really good.
Exactly.
That's why they keep coming back.
Exactly. They all have to qualify to be here, so they're here on merit. They're not just picked out of a hat, you know.
That would be a very different championship.
But that just shows the, you know, the level of talent. They all keep making their way back through into these World Tour events, and that shows with the on-track action that we have as well.
Well, speaking of on-track action, let's take a look at our first track for today. Let's talk us through it, guys.
Yep, the Willow Springs International Raceway then, the big Willow circuit layout we're going to be competing on. Jimmy, pretty fast and flowing this circuit, but they're going to be using some Group X machines, something we haven't seen this car in the World Tour before.
Yes, the Fittipaldi EF7, fast and flowing, but also unforgiving. You go off here, you're going off into the sticks. There's no runoff out there, just gravel. 17 laps around here with a tyre wear rate of 9 times. Both the racing hard and racing medium need to be used, so tyre strategy is going to be important here today.
Yeah, certainly is. You can see, as Jimmy said there, the penalty line as well out of turn number 9. So not necessarily the longest lap in the world, but very unforgiving. Turn 1 in particular is going to be quite interesting because it looks quite fast and flowing, but it's a lot tighter when you've got cars potentially going up to 3 wide down through there.
Wow. Okay, so this is our semi-final A about to start off. Before we go into this, could you all please be upstanding for the national anthem of the United States of America?
The national anthem of the United States of America plays out here in New York, the venue for World Tour 3 of the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championship. Semi-final A about to get underway in just a few moments' time. The competitors take their seats ahead of semi-final A at the Big Willow circuit there, Jimmy. It's going to be a very interesting challenge, this, a car that the teams and drivers aren't necessarily so familiar with as well. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these guys have been trying. We had some downforce cars just now on your picture. Now we're going to a purpose-built track car. You can see just on the graphic there where everybody is sitting. Andy Brooks in the top left of your picture and Mr. Manuel Rodriguez in the bottom right. Yep, Cody Lukovsky the bottom left, Takuma Miyazono, who was very quick. Mick Hezal, of course, fastest man in that top 6 qualifying session. To the right of him, Koke Lopez, Adam Sassuillo in and amongst the mix. 2 Americans at the forefront of your shot as well, just at the top of the order there with Randall Haywood and Danny Solis. Get their surnames in the right order. Tell you what, it's a stacked field, isn't it, Tom? My word, some of the best drivers from across the world in this first qualifying race, but of course only a couple can go through. Yep, certainly so. There is Jonathan Wong on the right-hand side of your picture. Bit of a smile there from him. Everybody ready to get this one underway here in New York. The anticipation is fantastic. That's the worst part, isn't it? The worst part when you're sitting there like, I want to just get going now, I want to just race. And of course you're sitting there, you can see your competitors all around you. You're getting hyped up, but yeah, I'm happy being up here, I think. I'll stay up here for now, Tom. Well, certainly so. I mean, look at the driver line that we got here, Jimmy, as well. Mick Hezal, Koke Lopez, Adam Sassuillo, Manuel Rodriguez. You said it was very, very strong. Who was your pick going into that first corner? Oh, my word. I mean, outside of saying obvious Mick Hezal, that sort of thing, I think Adam Sassuillo has been really building up from past events. He's a man who has a very strong online presence, but when it comes to his events, doesn't quite tend to perform, but he's been doing better recently. There he is on camera now. And a second place yesterday in the Manufacturers Series as part of the Aston Martin team is only going to boost his confidence. Yeah, it certainly is. There is Adam Sassuillo representing Great Britain, of course. You're keen to see how he gets on. There you can see Danny Solis just in the forefront of your shot. Mark Pennell just to the background of him. There is Randall Haywood, who was very impressive, as we said earlier on, in the Manufacturers Series yesterday. Let's see if he can convert that whilst he's on his own here in the Nations Cup. All the drivers getting ready to get this one underway then. Just getting their practice laps in here at the World Tour event at New York as well. So these Fittipaldi FE7 machines then, Jimmy, as we said, tricky so-and-sos, aren't they? Track weapons, is what they are. And I'm glad they're in Gran Turismo, because in real life they cost a lot of money. We looked them out there. We did, didn't we? And wonder how much one of those costs. And you're like, oh, okay, how many zeros am I reading that right? I've got to work for like 500 years to get anywhere near that. So, not for us, but they're all available, of course, in GT Sport. And it's a new car for us, a completely new car. So I'm looking forward to seeing what it produces in terms of racing. Yeah, completely right. Let's get ready then, shall we, to get semi-final A underway here in New York. The Nations Cup for the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships is about to get underway. And it's the semi-final A race that's coming up first at the Big Willow circuit. On pole position, Michael Hezal, the German driver, of course, finished 5th in the overall qualifier, fastest in the top 6. Takuma Miyazono lines up alongside him on the front row of the grid. And it's row 2, Cody Nikola Lukovsky from Australia. Alongside Cody, we have Koke Lopez. Keep an eye out for him. He's been a nearly man so far this year. Can he turn it around here in semi-final A? Adam Sassuillo from Great Britain is in 5th position on the grid. And alongside Adam, we have Manuel Rodriguez, the Spanish driver. Keep an eye out and listen to the Spanish commentators, see if you can hear them shouting about him. Andrew Brooks in 7th position from Canada. Baptiste Beauvoir, his 2nd World Tour appearance in 2019, lines up alongside. Alonso Regalado, the Peruvian driver, is in 9th position. And alongside Alonso is Randall Haywood from the United States of America. You can hear the crowd in the background there rooting for him. Danny Solis, also from America, alongside in the 11th position of the grid. And 12th and last on the grid, finishing last in the overall qualifier, it's Mark Pennell. Here we are then, Tom. First race. Here we are, first race of the Nations Cup here at World Tour 3 in New York. Now, of course, the drivers have to use both compounds of tyres, so you can see on the left-hand side of your screen which compound they're starting with. Mick Hezal opting to start with the faster compound of tyre, no doubt to try and get away at the start of the race and let people there fight behind. Koke Lopez is the first driver to start on the hard compound of tyre. Let's see if that strategy works out for him. 17 laps of the Big Willow Raceway then. Here you can see Mikael Hazal looking cool as a cucumber, not even focusing as he gets ready to get this race underway from pole position. Wait for that countdown to come on, and then the Nations Cup race will be underway here at the Big Willow Raceway. So then, tension is building. Who will get that lead down to the first corner, and who will take the checkered flag in 17 laps time? We are about to find out. The drivers weaving from side to side to get heat into their tyres. And it's ready to go then. Semi-final A for the Nations Cup here in New York is underway. Mikael Hazal leads the field over the timing line. Takuma Miyazono immediately goes for the inside line down in towards turn one, but Hazal does hold on. No moves really being made, but Andrew Brooks gets ahead of Manny Rodriguez for 6th position. Somebody going wide there at the first corner. Brooks does lose out now to Rodriguez as those two are exchanging blows, but a great start there from Hazal. And now Miyazono, who is trying to attack, is coming under pressure from Cody Nikola Lakowski.
Really important to try and get your moves done early on in the race here. The start of the race where all the cars are closest together. There's battling going on in the background as well, so everyone trying to take advantage of the fact that everyone's bunched up. Miyazono goes a little bit wide at the top there. Lakowski just puts his nose on the inside of the Japanese driver. I think he might get him down. The next corner is a left-hander. Miyazono will have the inside line, pushes Cody out wide. They don't want to go too wide here at the Big Willow circuit because, as you can see, there's zero runoff. It is just gravel and dust. Slows you right down. Lakowski gets the move done up into 2nd position, and now he'll be looking to try and chase down Mick Hazal.
Great stuff there. Look at Andrew Brooks as well, trying to go side by side with Adam Sassuolo for 5th position. The Canadian driver isn't quite able to get ahead of the Briton on this opening lap, but he's got quite a good amount of time to try and turn things around. Don't forget, of course, they have got the opportunity to pit. They will be changing onto the other compound of tyres, so Hazal, Lakowski and Miyazono on the mediums. You'd expect them to be faster here in these opening stages. Lopez and Sassuolo, they're kind of on the back foot at the moment, but things could turn around for them being on the faster compound at the end of the race.
Well, if they can stay with these guys, it's going to be a fantastic turn of events when they do get onto the softer compound of tyre. Now, just a reminder, it's 9 times tyre wear around here. Now, what that means is 1 lap around this circuit is 9 laps on the tyres, so the tyres go off quite quickly in this, so there is an element of tyre management in this race if you want to come off looking good towards the end. Cody is not breaking away from Miyazono. Meanwhile, back for 4th, 5th and 6th, Andrew Brooks is showing his intention on the back of Adam Sassuolo. Brooks, of course, on the softer compound of tyre, on the medium tyre, I should say, and he is all over the back of Sassuolo. His car is going to be better in traction, in the braking and through the corners, but of course he's got to try and get by. Looking back now from Coque Lopez, another driver who has been pretty much a mainstay in all these World Tour events. Great to see him back and still at the head of the field.
Good stuff there from Coque Lopez. He's leading this battle for 4th position as things stand. Meanwhile, Mick Hazal is leading the field. 1.5 seconds he's pulled out at the end of lap 2. Impressive stuff there from the German driver, and a bit wide there for Adam Sassuolo as he cuts back onto the circuit very late indeed. Made a bit of a mess of that last corner, and that is going to allow Andrew Brooks to close up quite significantly. Sassuolo goes defensive. Brooks goes towards the outside line. If he can hold that through there, he'll have the inside line into turn 2. Side by side they come, and here comes Rodriguez into the party as well. And Sassuolo's lost 2 positions as Rodriguez and Brooks go side by side now once again. Brooks on the inside, Rodriguez on the outside. They're going to flick it left in a few moments' time as well, as they still continue to run. Bit wide there from Rodriguez as Brooks pushes him on to the dust. Into the left hand we go. Rodriguez on the inside, Brooks on the outside. Fantastic move there from Manny Rodriguez. He gets himself up into 5th place.
About as close as you can get there without really touching each other. Great move there by Manny Rodriguez up into 5th position against someone else who has a fantastic race pace underneath him, but just needs to make something better of it. So currently we have Spanish drivers in 4th and 5th position. Meanwhile, Danny Solis there has come up through the field. Great job into 8th position now onto the back of Sassuolo. Now bear in mind, Solis is the lowest runner currently on the medium compound of tyre, and also a driver that races with a gamepad at home, having to transition here to the wheel. Goes up the inside of Sassuolo, and the home crowd like that. There goes the American driver up into 7th position, although we have a penalty there on the top right-hander for Alonso Regalado. So that was a little bit of contact. The Peruvian driver getting his elbows out a bit too much, it seems.
Yeah, seems to be the case, and he will, in theory, drop back ahead of Randall Hayward, although there is about a second between those 2 drivers, so keep an eye out because that penalty loop, of course, is out of turn 9 onto that start-finish straight. But great ascension here from Daniel Solis. Disappointment here on the 2nd lap for Adam Sassuolo. He has gone from inside the top 5 down into 8th place as Solis runs it a little bit wide. We see that from a few drivers there, Jimmy, but this is one of those circuits where if you don't do it too much, you can not lose too much time.
You've got to be careful regardless. These cars are made to run on tarmac. They're not made to run on gravel, so even one wheel off the side is going to lose you a little bit of time. maybe only a small fraction, but ideally, I mean, it seems very basic. You want to stay in the white lines, really. You don't want to go exploring, especially in this car, the Fittipaldi. It's a track weapon. It's incredibly low, incredibly stiff suspension as well. It's not made for the bumps of anything other than tarmac, so going off wide is not a good idea whatsoever. Here's Jorge Lopez, by the way, currently our leading hard tyre runner. He's in a good position right now, Tom. If he can keep this pace up and then come onto the medium tyres, he'll have the advantage at the end of the race, where of course it matters. And there goes Andrew Brooks taking an early stop, peels into the pit lane very quickly onto the hard compound tyre. That's very early, Tom.
Very bold strategy there. Is that something that's going to pay off? Because he's going to be slower towards the mid-stage of this race. Mark Pennell also into the pit lane and coming out of it there now as well. Meanwhile, here is Cody Lukowski, second position for him so far on the medium compound of tyres. Mick is out streaked off into the distance, 2 seconds ahead of this duo battling for second position at the moment. So let's keep an eye out and see what Hazal is going to be able to do, and see whether that gap decreases as he pushes very hard.
That's what Mick likes. Mick likes to be out front. He likes to control the race. He's definitely a decent overtaking driver as well, but he prefers to be out the front, just making his own pace, doing his own thing. You can see how relaxed he is when he drives. Every now and then we get a camera on him. He's just sat back like he's on a Sunday drive with some music playing out the car window. He doesn't seem to care, but of course at the same time putting in these ridiculous lap times. Meanwhile, Miyazono all over the back of Lukowski. It looks like Cody's really struggling to pace him. Miyazono tries to go around the outside line. He's going to try and cut back to the inside now, get a better run. So he's got a better run there, but actually drives into the back of Lukowski, gives him a little bump out the corner and loses his momentum. Look at that slipstream there. The car's getting a bit closer, looks to the outside for a second. I think that was a bit of a reaction there for Lukowski, but not too much of a wheel. I think we're okay. Danny Solis in the pits as well, changing onto the hard compound tyre.
Again, very early stops there, so these drivers perhaps not enjoying the medium compound of tyres and opting to go for the hard compound in the mid-stages of this race and opt to run it to the end. Is it going to be a strategy that pays off? It's one of those wait-and-see sort of things. There is Lukowski, though, in second position, just trying to bridge that gap back to Miyazono, give himself a little bit more of a buffer as Mick Hazal creates even more of a gap at the front of this race. 2.7 seconds now is what he leads by. Here is Randall Haywood then, with Danny Solis, the American driver, the two Americans battling for 7th and 8th position. Of course, Solis has pitted, Randall Haywood has not pitted, so he's out of position effectively as things stand in this race. But you can see just how much more pace Danny Solis has on those harder compound of tyres at the moment.
Fresher for Danny, of course, at this point. He's not suffering the tyre wear that Randall Haywood is in front, so I wonder if we'll see a little bit of camaraderie here between the two. Meanwhile, Randall Haywood tries to go exploring for a second there. You can see how much that affects the car, slows him right down. I think he just let Danny go there. Said, yeah, okay, fair enough, made a mistake, I'm not going to fight that too hard. And Danny Solis goes up into 7th position, of course, on that hard compound tyre. Now, of course, good to make aware that it is the top 4. Is it top 2 or top 4 that get automatic? I always forget which one it is.
It's top 4.
Top 4, there you go, I should probably know about it. Top 4 get automatic qualification. The 4 after that go into the reportage. 6 after that, sorry, go into the reportage. And 11th and 12th go home. That's the end of their competition.
That is correct, yeah. So Danny Solis there in 7th position. Look at the drivers on the left-hand side of your picture. Danny Solis in the top left-hand corner of your screen. Randall Haywood in the top, the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Both of those guys didn't necessarily have brilliant qualifiers, but doing good things here in this race. And Solis having actually very good pace on the medium and hard compound of tyres. That's very interesting considering there's such disparity between the lap times of the medium and hard compounds at the moment, but able to keep with the group, which is very important indeed. Now, here is Manuel Rodriguez. He is just behind Coque Lopez, and I think it's very difficult to overstate how impressive Lopez has been here, Jimmy, on this hard compound of tyres, to keep relatively within touching distance of that leading trio on a tyre compound that's significantly slower is very impressive.
Exactly, that car that Coque Lopez is driving right now on that tyre is objectively slower than the guys on the mediums. That will start swinging his way, however, as the tyre wear starts coming into effect. And there is Coque Lopez. He decides, no, enough is enough. I'm going to go onto the medium tyre now. And this is where he needs to gain. Where he comes out of the pit stop here is crucial for his race. If he comes out in traffic, he's going to be in trouble. Let's see where he comes out. Comes out the pit lane. That's perfect for him. Look at the track map there on the top right-hand corner of your screen. We are the red dot right now. You see how much of a gap there is around him. That is perfect. He'll be very happy with that. Now he needs to get his head down and just get those lap times in.
Exactly right, yeah. Have a good outlap there for Coque Lopez. He could be undercutting these drivers in front of him very nicely indeed. There is the Spaniard. Bottom left-hand corner of your screen, there are the Spanish commentators as well, rooting for Lopez, rooting for Rodriguez in front as well. But of course, Rodriguez hasn't made that pit stop at the moment. His tyres are a few laps older as well. So come the end of the race, he's really going to be fighting that Fittipaldi FE7 to keep it on the straight and narrow, because the effective tyre window for the racing medium tyres is only 8 laps. And some of those drivers were pitting as early as lap 4 or 5.
Yeah, the field right now is a little bit spread out at the moment. It's what happens with these kind of these races. But of course, as the strategies come together towards the end, they get all a bit closer towards the race, of course. So there is our car glass. We have the Fittipaldi EF7, developed by Fittipaldi Motors, no surprise there. 2 combined carbon fibre tubs with a low centre of gravity. So what that says to me, Tom, is expensive.
Yes, absolutely right. And of course, it was developed in correlation with Emerson Fittipaldi as well. He had a huge influence over the design of the car. Now here's Rodriguez. He goes back to traffic. Danny Solis in front of him. That is crucial in terms of this race for Manuel Rodriguez. He was in the pit lane. He's changed on now to the hard compound of tyres, so he's on the slower compound. Danny Solis, of course, has got a few more laps under his belt, but Adam Sassuolo is now attacking against the Spaniard, so it could be going from bad to worse here for Rodriguez.
Adam almost pushing Manny there out of the right hand. Then we go back up here. We want to try and get the inside line here. The car doesn't get cambered across, then go to the opposite side of the track here. If you go wide for this corner, you just find yourself being dragged out onto that gravel, which is horrible. And you're seeing Manny a little bit sideways out of there now. Manny does have the fresher tyre, although it is a harder compounder tyre, so right now he should be on a decent pace, but he's going to be ruining the fact that he came out behind Danny Solis. He's made his stop now and is currently in 5th position. He will not want to give up any places whatsoever.
Mick Gazal into the pits. Mick Gazal, the race leader, does pit them from the racing medium to the whole compound of tyres. Cody Nicolovikovski and Takuma Miyazono also following suit. So whatever the race leader does, they'll do exactly the same. So they're all going to be in exactly the same playing field in the latter stages of this one. They emerge back on track. Mick Gazal, of course, with a bit more of a buffer because he pitted a bit sooner. Likovski and Miyazono emerging back into those 2nd and 3rd places as well. But look at how close Koke Lopez is here, Jimmy. He's on the medium compound of tyres. He's got that effective window very nicely sorted out as well, right until the very end of this race. And in theory, because he's on that medium compound of tyres, he should be significantly faster in these latter stages too.
So with that strategy, he's managed to take some time out of his guys whilst he had a bit of free air after his pit stop, and now it's going to be a fight on track. As you said, Tom, he's on the medium compounder tyre, which will be good to the end. And right now, he's in a prime operating window, so we're looking to try and make the most of that as he can. Meanwhile, 6th and 7th place, Adam Sassuolo and Manny Rodriguez still going at it right now. Looks like Sassuolo's actually taken the place away from Rodriguez, which is going to be a big blow to Manny's race. Adam Lowe up to 6th position, and now trying to home on to the back of Danny Solis. Now, he does have the tyre advantage there. Sorry, the medium compounder tyre is quicker over the course of that. We'll have to really hammer that home, because it really plays a big part how quick these cars are, how solid. There is Adam there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, looking very serious indeed. A little bit of tongue action there from Adam. Wonder if that helps him be quicker or not.
Cleaning his teeth or something like that. Here's a bit of a replay for you with that move then with Adam Sassuolo and Manuel Rodriguez. Up the inside there for Sassuolo, set it up beautifully there. Rodriguez with the outer side line going through into that right-hander. Then into the left they followed. Rodriguez, though, was already on the back foot going into that corner. Sassuolo getting the move done very cleanly, very nicely indeed. Now here is Daniel Solis. He's now coming under pressure from Adam Sassuolo. Solis, of course, on that hard compound of tyre, the slower compound. He's not going to have the pace advantage here, and he's not going to be able to defend for much longer if Sassuolo is making moves and making attempts like that to get past.
Great defending so far, but just goes a little bit wide there. That's all Adam needs. Up the inside goes the British driver on the American style drag race down the hill. Next corner is going to be a left-hander, so Danny does have the advantage through here. Can Adam stay there? He can. I think that's going to be game, set and match now. Adam's got the run on the inside. There goes Adam Sassuolo up into 5th position. There's not much, unfortunately, Solis can do about that on the slower compounder tyre, but regardless, this has been a great drive for Daniel Solis, considering he qualified down in 20th place overall, currently running 6th in this first semi-final.
Hugely impressive, bit wide there for Sassuolo through the right-hander. That's going to allow Solis to come back into play, and if he gets a good run through turn 9 onto this start-finish straight, he could come back into contention, but a little bit wide there also from Solis, doesn't allow him to get past. And look at Sassuolo, when he set that move up last time around, exactly the same place as he got past Manuel Rodriguez the lap before, so he seems to be very comfortable in this opening sector.
Yep, it's a very good place for him to pass. He's really making sure to get by and play to his strengths. Meanwhile, back here, Brooks and Pinnell, the two Canadian drivers, are very close together, and Pinnell goes round the outside there in his red liveried Fittipaldi EF7. Bit of a train going on back in this section. It's great to see these guys all racing. Of course, this is for survival. Those who finish in 11th and 12th position are no longer part of this competition. So at the moment, that is Randall Haywood and Alonso Regalado. So we have to wait and see if that's how things are going to finish.
Mark Pinnell there, the Canadian driver going through into the left-hander, riding on board with him. Baptiste Beauvoir very close behind. Andrew Brooks also in and amongst the mix. This is a good little battle on the fringe of the top 10. Here comes Beauvoir then. Not really featured so far in this race has the Frenchman. Into the right-hander we go though. He's signaling his intentions very much indeed. Side by side they come. Beauvoir on the inside, Pinnell on the outside. Bit of door handle batting between them, and a great move there from Beauvoir to get up into 8th place in the last sector of this lap. So it's now the two Canadians of Pinnell and Brooks inside the top 10.
Now, let's go back to our drop zone right now, which is Randall Hayward and Alonso Regalado. Hayward on the quicker tyre right now. He's 4 tenths behind Andrew Brooks, who's currently in 10th position. And Randall needs to pass Andrew on track if he's going to go through to the repechage. So this is going to be a fight for survival for the American driver. Meanwhile, at the head of the field, Coco Lopez still gaining on the top 3 on that medium compound of tyre. He has a tyre advantage right now, but it's going to start to be going off at this point. Again, 9 times tyre wear. So 1 lap around here is 9 laps on your tyres. He's been on it for a lot more than 1 lap at the moment. And again, kicking up a little bit of dust from the outside. And Mike Pinnell getting a penalty.
Yeah, that's gliding within the car. We didn't see what happened there on screen. I don't think it was the move that was made between himself and Beauvoir going on there, but maybe something has happened. Meanwhile, here is Miyazono. Look at how wide he is. Look at the closing speed on Coco Lopez going through into that right-hander as well, into that final turn. He's got so much more pace behind him, and he's really closing up on this duo. I don't think he's going to be fast enough to be able to get onto the back of Mick Hazal before the end of this race, but he could be in contention here very nicely for a podium position.
These cars are so quick down the straight. I know we're going in kilometres, a lot of you guys here in miles per hour, but it's about 170 mile an hour down the straight. And apologies to Mark Pinnell. Can you please change his name to Mike? I keep calling him Mike. Sorry about that, Mark. But that penalty means that he now drops into 11th place, and Randall Hayward, the American driver, gets out of the drop zone up into 9th position.
Very impressive stuff there indeed. So at the moment, it's Pinnell and Regalado, the 2 drivers who are going no further in the competition here this afternoon. If you finish in the top 4, by the way, of these semi-finals, you are automatically qualifying for the grand final. Then, of course, 4th down to 8th position, 4th down to 10th place, I should say, rather. We have the drivers who will go through into the repechage, the last chance saloon, essentially. Look at Regalado, look at these 3 drivers battling to get themselves into the fringes of the top 10 to stay in the Nations Cup competition here in New York. Andrew Brooks is defending with every ounce of talent that he has behind the wheel of that EF7, but is he going to be able to do it?
He's got a tyre disadvantage too, Thomas, on the hard compounder tyre, so he has to really position his car carefully if he wants to keep his countryman and the Peruvian driver behind him coming up to the end of the race. Only a few laps to go now, coming on to lap 15 of 17, and Brooks leads the Silver Train here, and it's a battle for 10th position overall. That wouldn't really be our focus in a usual motorsport event, but here, of course, it means a difference between going through to the repechage and having your competition ended here. Pinnell right on the back of Andrew Brooks. Obviously no love lost between the 2 Canadian drivers as we come through the last the fast right-hander, I should say. Easy on the apex here, it tightens up on the exit, so very easy to go off onto the gravel. As Pinnell does that, kicks up a little bit of dust in the background, and unfortunately Regalado not quite close enough to make anything of it.
Through to the left-hander they go, then into the right. This is where we've seen Soswillo making those moves a little bit further up the order. Soswillo, meanwhile, his progress is kind of halted here, really. He's not close enough to get onto the back of Coco Lopez, but he's doing a good job here inside 5th position. So he will go into the repechage as things stand. But Andrew Brooks defending very nicely indeed. The 2 Canadian drivers, well, if you're watching over in Canada and you want one of the Canadian drivers to go through, it looks like that's going to be the case. But it's a case of, is it going to be Brooks? Is it going to be Pinnell? No such worries, though, for this man here, Mikael Hazal, I should say, rather. Mark Hazal. No, I was thinking of Mark Pinnell there. But Mikael Hazal.
Sure, it's not my Pinnell.
What a performance it has been from this driver. He's just left from start to finish. He's looked comfortable. He's kept that gap at a constant to the drivers behind. Perfect, what we used to see.
You see, we're getting quick, Mick, today. Sometimes we get fighting in the middle of the pack and can't progress. This is what Mick is good at. He is good at just going out, just doing his own race and just leaving everyone in the dust. And I think if he can carry that momentum, that confidence that we will know that he has within him, this could be a very good show for Mick. Now, he was actually voted the Michelin driver of the day yesterday, Tom.
He certainly was, and well, he's absolutely thrilled about that. We'll see that a little bit later on, actually, as well, the tweet that he put out following being voted Michelin driver of the day. A brand new thing that is coming to these World Tour events, and we'll have more on that with the Nations Cup. You can vote for your Michelin driver of the day later on here this afternoon as well. So, coming on to the final lap we are then with Mikael Hazal. He is about to lead the way over the timing line to start the last tour here at the Big Willow circuit. Now, here is Takuma Miyazono. He was coming under pressure from Koke Lopez a few laps ago here, Jimmy, but looks like he's got himself sorted out and he's on track to take that third position.
Oh, sorry, we're just being told in our ears here that Pinel there has been given a 1-second penalty for pushing Brooks, and that's not come up on our screen yet, so maybe that penalty's already been served at this point. But again, this is now the scrap for survival. Coming on to the last lap, Brooks ahead of Pinel. There is Pinel there, wearing his headset in a unique way, shall we say, coming around the the right-hander for the last time. I'm not really sure if he has enough to get by Brooks. It has to be a real lunge here, and we're not used to seeing Brooks towards the back of the field. The strategy he's had today obviously has not paid off. Spent very little time on that medium compounder tyre, and Solis in front as well is struggling. He's come right back down through the field. Hayward's gone up to 8th, Solis down to 9th. This is not over, but it is over for this man, Mick Hazal. The first semi-final here at the World Tour in New York takes a commanding victory, 4.3 seconds from Cody Nikolakowski in the background. What a race for the German driver. Cody second then. Miyazono comes home just in third from Koke Lopez, and Adam Spiller, a great drive from the British driver, home in 5th.
There is Kudlikowski, there is Mikhail Hazal in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Koke Lopez and Mick Hazal shaking one another's hands. Very impressive performance from both of those drivers. Manuel Rodriguez in 6th, Baptiste Beauvoir in 7th, Randall Hayward does come over the line in 8th, Danny Solis does hold on to 9th, and Andrew Brooks just finishes ahead then of Marc Pinel at the very end of that one. So Pinel and Alonso Regalado will be going no further in the Nations Cup competition. But Mikhail Hazal, what a brilliant performance. What a great start this afternoon here in the Nations Cup for World Tour 3 of the FIA Gran Turismo Championships. And, well, he's happy for all the right reasons. That is a perfect start to his afternoon.
I mean, he couldn't ask for any better than that, especially after yesterday, the Manufacturer Series. Didn't quite get into his stride yesterday, I think it's fair to say, Tom. But otherwise, I think it was a great job from him there.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant. And we saw that in the early stages, didn't we? He pulled out that gap initially and was able to continue it. Let's have a look at some highlights then of this race. So Hazal leads the way over the timing line. Everyone sort of is kept relatively stagnant inside the top 5. However, then we saw Takuma Miyazono in the latter half of that lap. You can see him there going side by side with Lukowski for position.
And Lukowski there, very importantly, getting ahead of Miyazono and getting that out of the way done early on. Here was Saswillo, who was elbows out early on. Of course, Koke Lopez, I think, one of the drivers we have to give big credit to for keeping as high as he was at the start of the race on that hard compound tyre. Here was Solis and Saswillo having a bit of a fight between them. Solis dives to the inside here, but the door is almost shut. You see in the background there's a penalty for Regalado, earlier on, where he was a little bit too aggressive with the other drivers.
Here is Danny Solis versus Adam Saswillo. This was a great little ding-dong battle for track position. Up the inside there for Saswillo, making that move stick into 5th position where he would stay until the end of the race. There's Koke Lopez. Meanwhile, he was hunting down Miyazono on the medium compound of tyres. Was Koke at this point. Miyazono on the hard compound of tyres, but wasn't quite able to find his way through. Over the line, though, there is Mick Hazal taking a commanding win in the Nations Cup semi-final A here at the World Tour event in New York. Cody Lukowski, a well-deserved 2nd, and Takuma Miyazono in 3rd with Lopez in 4th position. So the top 4 there automatically through to the grand final here this afternoon. Position 6 down to 10 will go into the repechage later on, and here's confirmation of the results, Jimmy.
There you go, yeah. Mick Hazal 1st, Lukowski 2nd, Miyazono 3rd, and Lopez 4th. All through automatically to the final of today, with the guys below there from 5th to 10th going through to the repechage. And unfortunately, we say goodbye to Pinel and Regalado.
Yep, you can see those drivers there who haven't made it through, Pinel and Regalado. Great battles up and down the field, especially in the latter half of that top 10. It got really exciting right to the very end of that one there, didn't it, Jimmy?
It had to be. I mean, if you're on the cusp of going through, you're going to do whatever you can to try and hold that position. And again, Andrew Brooks did a great job. He was on the harder compounder tyres, so the car not quite as quick over the lap as the guys chasing him, but he just positioned his car masterfully.
He really did. And a man who was very impressive in that race, especially in terms of his strategy and pace, was Koke Lopez. So you can see some stats on your screen at the moment. He's had 4 races, 4 top 10 finishes at the Nations Cup in 2018 in Madrid. He finished in 4th. Then didn't go so well for him in the World Final in 7th place at Monaco. In Paris, started off okay in 6th position, repeated that feat again in the Nürburgring. This is the weekend where he's going to try and go a little bit better and make things turn around a little bit more for him.
Well, he's started things off the right way by getting through to the final straight away. I mean, really just getting in the top 4 is important for this first race. The real test comes in the final later on, and I really do wonder if he can
if he can actually go that extra step. He's always been a 5th, 6th, around there. As your favourite term, he's a nearly man.
Yeah, he really is. Yeah. Well, let's head down to Coque Lopez and Julia then, who is finding out if he can make that extra step here this afternoon.
It's just me. I'm sorry. Where's Coque Lopez? He's gone. He's left. It's all fine. So actually, what was really, really fascinating, obviously, about Mick coming through, obviously going first in pole position and then winning. I don't want to say it's because of this reason, but I'm going to put 2 and 2 together and say that it's because he was awarded Michelin Driver of the Day yesterday. And I feel like that just gave him that lovely little boost. As you can see, he was feeling honoured and speechless about being Driver of the Day, and obviously wanted to thank all of his teammates from the Manufacturers Series. I mean, it's not... It could be the reason why he's doing spectacularly today, but I think it is. You know, it's a bit of a confidence boost. He's always been a bit of a fan favourite. We definitely want to hear from you about who's going to be the Michelin Driver of the Day today. So hit us up, let your voice be heard, and of course, just let us know what you think on all of the usual social media platforms. Yeah, that was a fantastic race. We're going to be going into the semi-final very, very soon, but we're going to throw it up to Tom and Jimmy to take us into that next race. It's very exciting.
Yeah, it really is, Julia. Thank you very much. I feel the excitement bubbling away from her, which is good.
A bit too excited, I think.
Possibly. So our focus now shifts to semi-final B for the Nations Cup here in Gran Turismo for the FIA GT Championships, the Nations Cup, of course. And, well, it's a complete contrast to what we just had, Jimmy. You can see on the screen behind us, we're just going to be showing you where we're racing. It's the Autopolis short course in Group B cars, by the comparison of track focus Fittipaldi machines in semi-final A at Big Willow to a dirt course in Group B cars. Sorry, a road course, rather, I should say, in Group B machines.
Yeah, completely different. I mean, you've got a four-wheel drive car, lots of power slides going on here. Not about being smooth, it's about being brave. And both our drivers, have to use the sports hard and the medium compounder tyre, so there is still strategy there. So while you might be tempted just to send it into every corner sideways, doing that a bit too much is going to burn down the tyre, and ultimately you're going to be out of grip very quickly.
It's going to be interesting to see how these drivers will fare, isn't it? A man who we're kind of looking forward to seeing how he gets on, Jonathan Wong, the driver from Hong Kong, China. It's going to be an interesting time for him because he's been very quick so far in the World Tour events, but he knows he can do better. You can see that quote here on your screen. I know I can get better results. I proved it in Paris, but I want to go even better and get a win for Hong Kong.
I mean, it's, again, another driver who's just always here, always quick and always consistently fast in these events. But, you know, the semi-final, there he is, just driving around at the moment, getting a bit of practice in. But, of course, bear in mind, we have Igor Fraga in this race too, our Nations Cup champion from last year. It's going to be difficult to get through, I think. Here.
So let's get ready then, shall we, and get this one underway. Semi-final B for the Nations Cup at the World Tour event in New York is about to get underway. You can see the cars lined up on the grid. Group B machines at the Autopolis short course. Igor Fraga starts on pole position in the Subaru WRX. Alongside him, Patrick Blajan from Hungary. Good for the starting position for the Hungarian driver. Second row, Jonathan Wong, we were just talking about him. Can he turn things around? Can he get a good performance and a great result? Salvatore Mariglino is alongside him, the Italian in fourth position. And then it's Nicolas Rubelar in fifth position in the Focus Group B. And alongside him is Rayan Derouche, the Frenchman in the Toyota 86. Ryota Kokiban in seventh position in the Peugeot RCZ Group B machine. And alongside Ryota is Rick Cavalham from the Netherlands in the Ford Mustang. Eighth place, it's Benjamin Barder, also from Hungary, so two Hungarians lining up on the grid in this race. Alongside Benjamin, Adam Wilk from Australia in the Audi Quattro. What a historic machine that is. Anthony Felix is in 11th position, won, of course, the Nations Cup yesterday. A lot of home support for him. And then Benjamin Cho from Taiwan is in 12th position.
So here we are. This is a weird thing to call. We have our Group B cars here at the Autopolis short circuit for our second semi-final here at our World Tour event in New York. Great location here. There's a bit of a class description there for the left. Rally cars modified for driving on dirt, this is dirt, and higher ride heights, meaning the higher centre of gravity. The cars are going to roll a lot more through the corners, meaning you have to really wait for the car to pick up before going. There's our hot pick for the event, Nico Rubelar. We think this driver is going to surprise us. He, of course, is our winner from the first World Tour this year at Paris, performed really well here at Autopolis. but not in a Group B car.
No, quite. It's going to be an interesting time to see how he gets on. Of course, sports hard and sports medium compounds of tyres for these drivers to use. They must use at least both compound of tyres. So you can see Fraga, Blajan, Rubelar, Kevelham and Barda starting on the medium compounds of tyres. Everyone else on the harder compounds there. You can see the crowd here in New York as we get ready to get semi-final B for the Nations Cup here in New York. Underway then. Who is going to lead the field down towards the first turn? Here are Autopolis. Over the line we go. Fraga starts on pole position. Blajan in second as they all duck into the slipstream and try and make those moves. A very tight first corner as well. Look at Blajan going towards the outside here as he tries to attack against Igor Fraga. Fraga with the inside line. He tries to defend. Wong also defending third position as well as Rubelar tries to go the long way around the outside. Mariglino on the inside of him, but Fraga does hold on to that race lead ahead of Blajan. Rubelar does get the better of Mariglino, and side by side here between Blajan and Wong down in towards the right hand. And we go. Wong on the inside, Blajan on the outside. Mariglino into the side of Blajan, and Rubelar's into third place at the head of all of that.
Great start there, but you can see the differences between these cars and the cars we've just seen. All sorts of sideways, and Rubelar comes up into second position. What a start from the Chilean driver, of course, our winner at the first World Tour this year in Paris, showing his tension nice and early, going after Fraga. He will not let the Brazilian driver get away, as you've seen so many times over the course of these events. But an absolutely, I say, fantastic start, a bigger way of saying it. Not the cleanest thing for our drivers, but that's kind of what these cars are. They're very hard to be precise with, all about getting the car sideways to an extent, then getting on the power. Nice and easy. Blajan in the background goes past Wong, but a bit too wide there. And Jonathan Wong is now going to be side by side. Blajan takes to the grass, making the most of that rallying car pedigree. And now it's a drag race down to T1.
And a great battle further back as well between Darush, Kevelham and Ryota Kokuman. All of those guys nearly going three wide into certain corners as well. Side by side we come here as well. You can see between Blajan and Wong. Wong on the inside, Blajan on the outside, but he's got the overspeed. He's got the position. Rubelar, though, is hunting down Igor Fraga. Fraga does not like these Group B machines. They're not his favoured cars. And you can see he's beginning to struggle now as Rubelar's got great pace behind him. Meanwhile, you can see an incident under investigation as well between Blajan and Mariglino. That'll be for the opening lap incident between those two drivers.
So, of course, we have to mention as well there are two compounds of tyres being used in this race. The top three drivers currently on the medium compound, the four after them on the hards. So we expect to see a little bit of a gap open up between those two. But Jonathan Wong right now doing a fantastic job of staying with Patrick Blajan on the softer compound of tyre in front. Here's an onboard there from Rubelar. You can see at the bottom right corner of the screen the inputs our drivers are putting in to try and get these Group B cars around this circuit. Now, what to be a heavier than brakes coming up into this hairpin. Let's see if he gains on Fraga in front. There is big hit of the brakes. Then very easy pull back off and very soft to get on the power and try and get it sideways. And a nice exit there from Rubelar, but a better exit from Fraga in front. And Mariglino, Salvatore Margarino, has been given a penalty. I think that's being a little bit too rough, Tom.
Yeah, that was for the opening lap incident we saw between himself and Patrick Blajan. Here is a replay then of what ensued down towards that first corner. Mariglino very late on the brakes, biffs into the side of him, allows Rubelar to get up into third position, and then Rubelar, of course, attacking against Jonathan Wong into second position. Look at that move, look at the confidence he has behind the wheel of that full-focus Group B machine. Into second already after the first few corners, and look at how close he is now to the Brazilian Igor Fraga here as well. Jonathan Wong there in fourth position, doesn't seem to have the pace as things stand to battle against Blajan, who is close in front, but we ride on board now between Fraga and between Nicolas Rubelar, and look at Fraga there, he's struggling in this midsection of the lap. Rubelar is much more comfortable behind the wheel of this machine, and you can see that with just how visible that difference is between those two drivers.
There's an apex there somewhere. Igor taking a very late apex now, coming up to the last part of the circuit, and I think that whilst Nico is looking very quick right now, there's a distinct possibility that he's burning those medium tyres. He's really throwing that Ford Focus WRC around, sorry, Ford Fiesta WRC in the background. Very interesting to see the range of Group B cars. Bear in mind, Patrick Blajan's in a Nissan GTR Group B car, and Mariglino, who had the penalty earlier on, was an NSX Group B car. That's what I like about GT Sport, is that you can just go, right, that car's now a Group B car.
Speaking of penalties as well, Ryota Kokuman also given a penalty, 1 second for him for colliding with another car. Didn't quite see exactly what happened on screen. Adam Wilk, the first driver to pit in this race, then he goes from the hard to the medium compound of tyres and also takes a bit of fuel on board in his machine. Hasn't really featured so far in this race, so drops to the back of the field. But it'll be interesting to see how strategy plays out in this one.
My guess is he just doesn't want to be in this traffic. There's a lot of argy-bargy going on a bit further down the field, and especially when you're close together. He, Wilk, of course, in that glorious Adam, that's not a car, Audi S1 E2 Quattro, one of my favourite Group B cars ever to exist, and probably the boxiest car on the grid right now. And importantly, he has some clean air to try and make the use of those medium compound tyres. You can see on the mini-map there, in the top right-hand corner of the screen, the spread of the field. That is Wilk there, the last arrow at the back. And of course, the red arrow being the car watching now, Igor Fraga. Now, 1 lap on these tyres, 15 laps of wear on the tyres, so that they wear very quickly, is what we're trying to say here. And I think Fraga now is experiencing the effects of that. He's just not quite able to get that car turned in the way it was in the first few laps.
No, certainly not. Fraga really beginning to struggle as well. Rubelar isn't able to mount a challenge too much at the moment. These two have struck away from the rest of the field. Patrick Blaschan there in third place also doesn't have an answer. And Brian DeRouche into the pits as well. He goes to the medium, the hard compound of tyres. Anthony Felix also following suit as well. So those drivers will be on the quicker compound of tyre towards the end of this race here, Jimmy. That's going to be important, isn't it, to have that quicker compound. Here is an incident as well. This is, I think, between Ryota Kokubun, and this is why he's been given a 1-second penalty against Brian DeRouche. Maraclino there on the inside. Deary me. All got a little bit messy going through to that final sector, didn't it?
Only really 1 line through there, but you see they're still bashing down the straight, but penalty had been given. Of course, live stewarding at these events, which is always handy. It means that any contact is sorted and dealt with very quickly and efficiently. Here is Fraga again and Rubelar. These guys kind of stuck now this gap about half a second or so. Rubelar just doesn't quite seem to have the extra bit of speed to get by. Meanwhile, down in 5th position, that is Rick Kevelam there and Benjamin Bardal, the Hungarian driver, very close together on track. And Jonathan Wong in front has managed to get away a little bit on that hard compound of tyres. So this is a great drive from Wong so far, considering he's on that harder compound of tyre. Bada looks to the inside there in the Hyundai, thinks better of it. Let's see how he is on his exit here when we're on the roof cam. Easy for this last chicane. Full throttle forward drive, of course. In the pits comes Wong. So Wong then is now born to that hard compound tyre. He's going to go on to the medium and try for a fast finish.
Into the pit lane then. Wong is in the Mitsubishi Lancer Evo, hard to the medium compound tyres for the Hong Kong giant driver. Benjamin Cho from Taiwan also into the pit lane as well in the Focus RS machine. Comes out of it now and he will emerge down in 12th position. Hasn't really featured so far in this race. Ben Cho. Look at this great battle going on as well for 7th position, that is, as well. Sorry, 9th position, I should say. Adam Wilk, Ryota Kokubun, Anthony Felix also in amongst the mix. Of course, Felix, having pitted earlier on, has now begun to close up onto the back, as did Ryota Kokubun there as well. So these guys now in traffic. This is going to really harm their race at the moment, because what they need is clear track in front of them to try and use the undercut effectively and get into a good position when everybody else in front makes their pit stop.
Yeah, it's all about making sure you have a bit of track position here, fighting each other. Whilst it's cool for you guys to watch at home and cool for us to commentate on, it's not the best way to get around the circuit in the quickest time possible. Looking back there to Maraclino, here he is in the NSX Group 3 car, and there is Wilk in that rather special Audi Quattro. Looks a little bit out of place in this field, doesn't it, Tom, compared to the rest of the cars?
Yeah, a bit of a cat amongst the pigeons there for Adam Wilk. Is he going to be a cat amongst the pigeons, though, in this race? It doesn't seem to be the case so far. You can see the German commentators just watching on the bottom left-hand corner of the screen. There's the French guys, Donald on the left, Fabian on the right. Then we have the Spaniards and, well...
Wonder who that's supporting.
Yeah, exactly. Lucas on the left and Alberto there on the right-hand side of your screen, draped in the flame. Then we have Duarte and Gonzalo. The Italian commentators, Emilio and Andrea, giving us a big wave on the camera. And then we have Yamada-san and Nakajima-san in the Japanese commentary booth as they talking about the drivers on circuit at the moment. And Ryota Kokubun, representing Japan, of course, not able to mount so much of a challenge in the mid-stages, being stuck in traffic. Meanwhile, somebody else who is mounting a challenge is the man we're running on board with, Nicolas Rubelar, who's really close up at the back of these guys. They're waiting a very long time to go and pit off of these medium compound of tyres, aren't they here, Jimmy?
Well, I think they've still got the pace in them at the moment, so they're just keeping them alive. It seems that Fraga struggles a little bit in the tighter corners in that Subaru, whereas Rubelar in the Ford seems to be able to get the car rotated a bit easier. Kevelam and Bada now, this battle's still going on. Benjamin Bada looks to the outside now, getting a little bit desperate against Kevelam, the Dutch driver. Not quite close enough, tries to go around the outside. Kevelam there understeers big time on the apex, and actually has Bada has no choice but just slow down and go, I don't want to hit you, mate. So looks like the Dutch driver really struggling now with those medium compound tyres. Won't be too long, I think, till we see him put in 220k. That's 140 mile an hour, 150 mile an hour now, coming down to T1, heavy on the brakes. You see how long the braking zones are in these cars, and even still, that Mustang in front really struggling for the traction and using a little bit of the grass there on exit. That usually these cars would like that, but not on these sport compounder tyres.
As you said, Jimmy, it's very difficult to be precise in these cars as well, isn't it? That's, of course, well, due to a number of different factors. These Group B machines are not designed to be raced on road courses such as this. You can see we'll have an interview with the winner coming up a little bit later on here this afternoon as well with Igor Fraga. It'll be interesting to see what his thoughts are. Potentially with Igor Fraga, I should say. I'm jumping the gun a little bit there, am I not? It'll be interesting to see what happens there as Nicolas Rubelard's got good pace. Here, though, is a man who has also got good pace with Benjamin Barder. Here is Rick Kevelan there in full position. Here is Igor Fraga in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, just keeping the pressure behind at bay as well from Nicolas Rubeland. But Barder's looking very aggressive indeed against Kevelan. You can see consistently how much quicker he has been. He goes for the outside line as Kevelan defends down into that tight right-hander.
Can he tuck under here, I wonder?
Not quite close enough, no. Kevelan parking the car exactly where he needed to there.
Definitely. Sorry to talk over you, sir. Tom, I thought he was going to just eat it up the inside. Kevelan comes into the pit lane, so I think he's gone, right, you know what, I've held him up enough, the tyres are not there. He's going to try and get out and, I guess, perform the overcut, as we call it, or just pitting earlier, as we used to call it before that term came into existence. He's now come out, but importantly, he's out in traffic, and look at the traffic around here now. He's on the hard compounder tyre, and he's in 11th. He's in the drop zone.
Yeah, here's Mariclino as well, making a move on Jonathan Wong. So that is an absolute disaster there in no uncertain circumstances for Rick Kevelan. That's not going to help his charge at all. Meanwhile, Wong on the inside of Kokibun through the right-hander. The Hong Kong driver from China makes his way through into the right-hander. Nicely done there from him. Now Mariclino versus Patrick Blajan. Through into the right we go. Blajan defending. He knows he hasn't got the pace in these mid-stages. And that's interesting, of course, because he's on the harder compound of tyres here. So he's about 0.7 of a second a lap slower, and it just seems to be really past its best shelf life.
I think so now. I'm just looking at the head of the field, and I'm thinking, what does Rubelar have to do to get past Fraga? The speed differential isn't quite there to get the move made at this point. Oh, here we go. So that answers my question. Both of them come flying in the pit lane, and Rubelar was quicker into the pit lane. He had a better entry there. I think Fraga maybe did what Mick Gazelle did back in Paris and hit the pit wall. Another penalty for Maragino. That's someone who is intentional, trying to...
Oh, he's out ahead. Rubelar's ahead.
No, he's not.
He's not. Sorry, no, you're right. No, I'm jumping the gun completely. Sorry.
Banner is, who has not pitted. Here comes Darouche in the background as well. This could be terrible for Rubelar. No, okay, so they stay second and third, but now they've got Benjamin Ballett in front, and these are on the fresher tyres, both Rubelar and Fraga, and also Darouche in the background on the faster tyre. He's come from nowhere. He's now a real competitor in this race.
That's brilliant there from Rayan Darouche. He has pitted, of course. Benjamin Barder in the lead of this race has not pitted yet, so these guys are effectively battling for the race lead. When Benjamin Barder comes in, they will be squabbling for who is going to be the victor in this race, and Fraga at the moment is defending very nicely indeed. You can see him there taking the title line through that right-hander, Rubelar and Darouche. This is a three-way scrap, and if this is going to set us up nicely for the next 7 laps, you can hold on to your hats, because it's going to be an absolute thriller for the victory in semi-final B.
Well, Rayan Darouche just came from absolutely nowhere. I did not see him in the timesheet. Must have had a fantastic outlap or outstint there on that medium compounder tyre. His tyres are going to be older than the guys in front of him, but he's still got the pace of iron. So look at them now. Darouche is right on the back of Fraga, who is just about keeping Rubelar behind as well. And in front of them was Benjamin Bader. So there you go. Fraga back up into the lead. Rubelar second, Darouche in third. The top 3 drivers are all nose to tail coming down into the first corner. Rubelar looks to the outside, but not quite close enough. Darouche then goes to the inside of Rubelar. Side by side, a little bit of contact between the 2 drivers, and that slows down Darouche, with the top 3 drivers covered by 0.3 of a second.
This is absolutely mega. Look at Fraga defending. Look at Rouge attacking as well. At the inside, nearly there for the Frenchman. He goes up the inside. Rubelar's a little bit wide. He's got the inside line for the next left-hander that follows, though. Side by side they come. Door handle to door handle. Can Darouche hold the outside line? Get the inside line for the right-hander? He can. Absolutely brilliant bit of driving there from Rayan Darouche. The Frenchman giving it as good as he gets. They're still running side by side. Rubelar's got the inside line to the next left-hander. Fraga's managing to pull away just a little bit here as Rubelar and Darouche still go head-to-head for position, and Rubelar somehow, in the drama of all of that, manages to hold on to second.
This is brilliant for Fraga. He needs these 2 to squabble for as long as possible, because at the moment Darouche is the fastest of these top 3 drivers, but if they keep fighting as they are, Patrick Blajan in the background is going to come into play, and Ryoto Kokibun. So this race is far from over. Coming on to lap 12 12, only 5 laps remaining now here at Autopolis in these Group B cars. And you see DeRouche a little bit further back than he was last lap, just using the toe down the straight in the background. You see how much closer everyone is now after the pit stops. And Fraga really has his work cut out as Rubelar is big in his mirrors. Here is Blajan and Kokuban for 4th, 5th, and Jonathan Wong there in 6th. They're basically just at the moment vying for the right to try and chase down DeRouche in front of him. The thing is, Blajan on the hard compounder tyre is going to be struggling for place, and Kokuban and Jonathan Wong behind on the medium compounder tyre. They're going to have that advantage. Kokuban now looks to the inside, he's going to have the outside low for the hairpin. Blajan will park the car on the apex, says, no thank you son, this is my corner, as he does there rather forcefully, and just about keeps 4th place for now.
This is a great masterclass in defence from Patrick Blajan at the moment, managing to just park his car exactly where Kokuban and Wong don't want him to. And look at Wong now, it's attacking against Kokuban. Side by side they do come. Wong with the inside line, but going into the next right-hander, it's going to be, of course, Kokuban, who then has the de facto track position coming down into that right-hander. In there they go. Kokuban with the inside line, Wong on the outside, still side by side they come, and Kokuban does manage to retain 5th position.
It's a good exit there for Rubelar up ahead as well. The time coming down in the slipstream, coming down the main straight. There it is, 1st, 2nd and 3rd back together once more. Fraga goes defensive nice and early. Rubelar tries to go around the outside, but thinks, no, you know what, I'm going to just try and take my standard racing line. Thing is, when you go defensive, you make the corner narrower. It is slower corner for you in front, so doing that too early can really go against you. This battle for 4th still going strong. Kokuban there in the Peugeot RCZ Group B rally car, looking to the outside of Blajan in the GTR. Blajan holds the line on the inside, but he's sideways on exit there. He's really trying to push his hard compounder tyre. You can see just how much he's struggling for grip again. Kokuban on the inside here, but will be for the outside for the hairpin. Blajan again goes, nope, this is my corner, parks on the apex. Here comes Mariglino as well, being pushed by Jonathan Wong. This battle, this is for the last automatic place in the grand final. So Blajan trying to hold on to that full position with everything he's got.
Absolutely fantastic. 5 cars battling for that last spot, as Jimmy says, in the grand final for the World Tour here in New York. So Blajan again defends. Kokuban opts for that outside line, and here comes Wong as well. And Mariglino sends it down the inside, 3 wide through the right-hander. Into the left we go. Wong's profited. He's up into 5th place. Brilliant driving. Kokuban down to 7th, and Mariglino there in 6th position. And look at Felix coming into play now as well, as they go side by side down the start-finish straight for position. Felix on the inside. Mariglino is defending as well, and you can see there Kokuban does hold off the charge of Felix for a couple of moments.
Where has that Felix come from? He's again on the medium compounder tyre, so all these guys that are behind Patrick Blajan have the tyre advantage. I'll be surprised if Mariglino probably doesn't get another slap on the wrist from Matthias. He's been really sending it in. There is the American driver there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, on board with him right now, trying to look for a gap to get by Kokuban in the Peugeot. Coming to the hairpin, you want to try and dive to the right at the last second here. If you're close enough to make the move, he isn't. And you can see how slow Blajan is. He's just holding this whole train up, but no one can get by him. He's masterfully defending this position on the hard compounder tyres in his GTR, but can he go to the end? I'm not sure he can. Jonathan Wong behind him, one of the quicker drivers here today in New York in that Mitsubishi. Will he look to the inside here, coming up to the hairpin? He's got the run, I'm not sure he will. Blajan goes defensive nice and only. Wong goes to the outside, tries to. He's going to run out of room out there, and again here comes the Mariglino and Kokuban, who was forced out wide last lap sideways by Wong. This is fantastic. It's exactly what we want from this racing.
Absolutely amazing driving from all involved. All the while it's allowed the top 3 of Fraga, Rubelar and DeRouche to just pull out enough of an advantage to have no threat from behind. So that 3-way scrap still continues for the racing. Wong goes defensive. Kokuban opts for the outside line down in towards that first corner. He's going to try and get the switch back. He biffs into the back of Wong there at turn 1 as well. That's not going to help both of their charge. And look at Felix here in the background of your shots, trying to challenge against Mariglino. Nearly side by side they come, but Felix isn't able to find a way past down into that tight right-hander.
Just shuffling the field right now, and again, here we are. Patrick Blajan slow through the first sector. Wong and Kokuban trying to find a way. DeRouche! DeRouche goes up the inside of Rubelar. That's for 2nd position. He's made it stick. I think that was very rude, but Ryan DeRouche there in the GT86 goes up to 2nd temporarily. Rubelar now on the inside. My word, Tom, these guys are going at it.
Brilliant racing indeed, and you can see whilst they're battling, it's just allowing a bit of daylight for Igor Fraga there in the race lead. 1.1 seconds, that gap's now up to his Wong. He's on the grass against Kokiman. Absolutely brilliant. Blajan, though, has dropped down to 6th place. Side by side we go between Wong and Kokiman. Down into the right-hander we are. Kokiman on the outside, Wong on the inside. Bit of barging, bit of bumping there. Wong being very aggressive. Into the left we are. Still side by side they come. Blajan is trying to defend from Mariglino as well. Down the start-finish straight we are to start the penultimate lap here. Wong on the inside, Kokiman on the outside. Here comes Blajan as well as they take the tightest possible line down to turn 1. Blajan tries to attack. He's going to try and get 2 in 1, but that's way too much.
Way too late on the brakes.
They're way off. They're way off there. Blajan and Wong go off at turn 1, and now it is Mariglino who is into 4th place here on the penultimate lap.
And Felix there up to 6th position now. He has a real chance of going through if he can just get his car in the right place at the right time. Mariglino goes wide. He's off. He's off. Kokiman now up into 4th position, and Felix up to 5th. This is the battle for the last place in the grand final. Right now, Kokiman will go through if the race ended as it was, but no. And Felix right on the back of the Peugeot driver at the moment, and now we come in to the last part of the penultimate lap. Always on the line there. There is the American driver all over the back of the Peugeot, a little bit wide down bottom, going for the late apex, I think. Can he stay with Ryota Kokiman? Last year, Kokiman won the Asia Oceania Regional Final, so he's now dicing with a world finalist here. And I think, well, I'm not sure, but Kokiman seems to be pulling away somewhat. Can he? Oh, well, I don't know. Through here is quick as well. This is going to go down the line, Tom.
It really is, and the battle for the race lead is not over. For 2nd place is not over between Rubilar and Darush as well. Just 0.2 of a second separating those guys on the final lap here at the Autopolis circuit as well. Down towards the first corner we go for the final time of asking. Here is Ryota Kokiman as we ride on board with him. He's just got a bit of enough of daylight there to allow Anthony Felix to not attack, but somebody who is attacking is Mariglino on Patrick Blajan there in the background for track position as well. Not able to find a way through. Here is Rubilar though into the right-hander, defending once again from Darush. There is Fraga into the left-hander, leading the race. A bit more of an advantage is what he's got. Into the left-hander we go. Darush very aggressive there on the curb. Up the inside, he tried. Up the outside rather, I should say, he tries. He's not able to find a way through. He's got the switchback here as they come into the left hand, the right-hander, and then they're going to switch it left now. Rubilar with the inside line, defending as beautifully as he can. He's parking the car exactly where the Frenchman doesn't need him to here, Jimmy.
Here it is then, last part of the lap coming up the hill. And it's Rubilar that has 2nd. I'm not sure if Darush is going to have enough time to get this move done. Here he is, diving inside Rubilar on the inside. I think that's going to be it, Tom, or no, is it?
Oh, he's late on the brakes. Darush surely he's going to have an opportunity to find his way through, but no, not quite. Rubilar parks it on the apex. Brilliant, it's going to be a run to the line. Igor Fraga wins semi-final B here in New York. Rubilar finishes in 2nd, and does he though, because Darush carries him to the line, but he does take 2nd. Darush in 3rd, Felix in 5th. He finishes just behind Ryota Kokiman. So the top 4 is Fraga, Rubilar and Darush and Kokiman. Felix, Blajan, Mariglino, Wong, Barner, Wilk and Kevelam. Wilk will make it through. Kevelam, and then you can see Benjamin Barner will not make it through, and they will have to go in. They will be going no further here this afternoon, but there it's Nicolas Rubilar. What an absolutely fantastic performance from the Chilean driver.
Now, I laughed when I saw the Group B or here on the schedule, but that has produced, again, one of the best races we have seen in these World Tour events. These Group B cars always throw up a bit of a different challenge for our drivers, and they rise to it. What a race there. And you've got to think that maybe Rubilar and his defence on Darush is why Fraga won this race. I don't think he had the pace there to win that if Darush was side by side, but that's not how it crumbles. And again, well, here are some of the replays from that absolutely brilliant race.
I just about got my breath back from that one. Igor Fraga led the field over the timing line, but it's Ryan Darush who just made a slow ascension through the field. We hardly mentioned him in the first phase of it as everybody made their first pit stops there, but it was a great battle. Three-way scrap for the lead at some point as well between Fraga, Rubilar and Darush, and what a great amount of defensive driving there from Igor Fraga. He was just able to pull a bit of an advantage as Rubilar and Darush went side by side on more than one occasion, and that was all he needed to take that victory nice and relatively comfortably by his terms on the end. Here is Blajan though. This was Ryota Kokiman, this was Mariglino in and amongst the mix, 3 wide as they went through the right, then the left, 1 profited, and then you can see as well it got very tight in the background. Darush again against Rubilar, finding his way through into 2nd place. We thought that might be it, but no, Rubilar was up the inside once again into the following left-hander, that long left-hand curve. He was up onto the podium positions once again. There we go then, this is Felix. You can see Mariglino running it well wide. He was well off into the car park, and Ryota Kokuban into 4th place, Felix into 5th.
He didn't need to do that, though, that's the thing. And it was the last move. We thought the Rublar was going to go a bit wide there, but came back in. Darush just had his exit blocked slightly, couldn't quite get Rublar in the end. And Fraga, of course, breathes a sigh of relief, thinking, man, I'm glad I have to fight with those guys.
Fantastic stuff. There you go, Rayan Darush, the Frenchman. that's what it means to him. Brilliant stuff. Final results then, you can see here, Igor Fraga, Nicolas Rublar, Rayan Darush, Ryota Kokuban, the 4 drivers who automatically make it through to the grand final here in New York. Felix, Blajan, Maraglino, Wong, Barda and Wilk will make it through to the repechage, the last chance qualifier. Cavalam and Benjamin Cho, sadly, will go no further in the World Tour event here in New York this afternoon. There is Igor Fraga, though. What a brilliant performance, and what a great performance from South America as well, of course, with the Chilean driver, Nicolas Rublar, making it into 2nd.
Not bad at all. I mean, these are both previous World Tour winners, so what do you expect, really, from these guys? I mean, if they're not doing that, I think they need to go home. And there you go. So 3 podiums in total in our FIA events, including, of course, the World Final champion there to the left, Igor Fraga. World Tour winner at the last event in Paris. Sorry, the first event in Paris was Nico Rublar, and then at Nürburgring, Igor Fraga. So these guys, they've got a bit of a decent rap sheet between them.
It's not bad at all, is it? Absolutely fantastic stuff from both of those drivers there. We know how quick Fraga has been, of course, being the Nations Cup reigning champion, but Nicolas Rublar has really surprised us this year with just how consistent he's been and fast as well.
Well, you saw him at the start of the race, just really forcing his way through. Goes, you know, I need to be there. I need to be at the front of this field, and I need to make sure I am giving Fraga as much pressure as I can. I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't really matter so much because it's only top 4 that go through. But you know, it's psychological. You think, if I can win this, if I can beat the champion from last year, that's a massive boost of confidence.
Yeah, it really is. Well, let's go down then to Julia, who is with our winner from semi-final B, Igor Fraga.
Hey, how are you doing? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. You know, being able to start in a good position for the final race definitely makes me a bit more comfortable for it.
How do you think the race went?
Yeah, it was a tough race. I mean, my car...
I mean, was it though? You seemed pretty comfortable to the rest of us.
No, but, you know, my car hasn't that good tire wear. So at the first lap, I was able to put like a little gap. But then Nico and Ryan, yeah, he was able to, you know, catch. And it was like all close down to all 3 fighting. So it was quite intense.
I think you made the right decision getting away from that messy scrap that was going on in the middle, because that looked pretty brutal. I suppose one of the other things is, you know, we all love a repechage, like we love a repechage race. One of the first things you said was like, you know, you were quite relieved to not go into the repechage race. Do the drivers not enjoy it so much as we do?
No, the problem is that usually on the repechage it's a little bit chaotic. So we would like to, you know, just guarantee yourself to the grand finals, and that's it. Don't raise the repechage, breathe a little bit, and go for the finals.
I mean, you could see, obviously, Patrick Blajan in the middle of that was determined not to try and get through to the repechage, but obviously that didn't kind of pay off in the end. Well, anyway, congratulations. You can sit back, relax, have a drink, you know, have a cup of tea or something, and then get into the final. And yeah, so just to refresh the format there for the repechage race. So in semi-final A and semi-final B, all of the competitors that came in between number 1 and number 4 will go straight through to the final. All the rest between 5 and 10 are now going to be in this repechage race. It is very scrappy because it is the last chance saloon. If they don't get in the top 4 of this, that's it. They are out. They've got to sit on the bench and go and have some biscuits. Right, so we're going to be, the lineup for today is going to be repechage and then also the final. But actually, we had a chat with you, I believe, all about the Nürburgring and your win. So we'll take a look at that.
I think I somehow made my life difficult because...
Igor Fraga, the reigning champion, starts on pole position.
Here comes the Brazilian now, but Coca Lopez there is the lead, and now it's a 3-lap sprint to the line.
Yeah, last lap it was a lot of high and low, let's say. You know, going to the last lap on the last turn, I didn't saw that Cody was getting very close to me. I kind of left space and he just dived into it. I think it was a good move.
What a Nations Cup final we have. Lopez defensive. Fraga tries the long way round. Lukowski into the back of Lopez. Big drama. And Fraga and Lukowski go to the line.
Yeah, I think everybody, you know, Gran Turismo, it's growing up for another level, and I think this will follow with a more high level competition because everybody it is trying to win the competition. So from now on, I think the level will become like higher and higher in each World Tour.
Peanut
Brasilian champion!
Every competition that you join, you always try to win and do your best.
Well, really great to hear there from Igor Fraga, of course, winner of the Nations Cup event at the Nürburgring there, Jimmy, and, well, a man who is full of confidence, of course, following that win in semi-final B.
Rightly so, he should be. He's our champion from last year, you know, he's someone who really just has that ability to get that extra tenth out of each car, and he needed it here, as you said, because the repechage is coming up. And I think chaotic is going to be a bit of
the
an
understatement
really.
of the century, isn't it, really? Yeah, that's repechage, of course, at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. So the first time we've used that, I think, in a very long time, if at all before. But Super Formula cars. Yeah, now that's going to be very interesting indeed. Let's have a look at the start list then for you, this lineup though. So it is Sassuolo, Felix, Rodriguez, Blajan, Beauvoir, Mariglino, Hayward, Wong, Solis, Barda, Brooks and Will. Those are the 12 drivers who are competing in this. Now the top 4 from this will go through into the grand final.
Yeah, so it's going to be a fist fight. I like using that term. That's kind of pretty much what it's going to be. And of course, Sassuolo and Felix, who were 5th in their last race, of course, getting the 1st and 2nd on the grid there, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, let's have a look then, shall we, at the circuit of what we're going to be racing at. The Blue Moon Bay Speedway, as we said, is the venue. You can see it appearing on screen behind us here just now. And, well, it's a fictional track on GT Sport, but that doesn't mean that it is unexciting in any way, shape or form. You can see just the 3 corners. It sounds simple enough, but putting that into practice is a lot more different than it sounds.
It's tri-oval, as you guys here will know, at the States, and driving the Super Formula car, and I think maybe trying to mirror a certain real-life open-wheel series. We won't go into which one. Racing hard tyres, 15 laps here, so it's going to be a very fast-paced race, and slipstream is going to be the name of the game. Being in the right place at the right time is how you're going to win this race, and of course, these cars also equipped with boost, an overtaking system, 30 seconds of boost on their right thumb, meaning that if they want 50 more horsepower, pop, there it is.
Yeah, not bad at all, is it? And we'll be able to see that actually on screen at the time as well. On the roll hope, there's a flashing green light, and then on the back of the car, there's a red light as well. Anyway, let's cross down then to Julia, who we think has found... apologies,
it's
Jimmy.
Me.
Sorry.
Julia's having biscuits. Did you not hear it?
Yeah. Well, is that English biscuits or is that American biscuits? Because those two are two totally different things.
Who knows? Anyway, we're going to go have a chat with Ant Felix. There he is. Hello, Ant. Good to have you here, mate. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Now, Ant, oval race coming up. And, of course, my favourite fact about you is that you like your oval racing. Do you reckon that's going to help you out here?
No.
No? Not at all?
Not at all.
I mean, it's a downforce-based car. You're kind of more into your stock cars. Is that something you've done a bit of practice earlier on? What's the difference like for you?
Well, it's not. I don't think it's really the fact of it being a high downforce car. I think a race like this is based. A lot of things can happen that aren't in your control. I mean, this is mainly a slipstream race. There's no really skill set. You have to wheel the car. It's pretty much just a flat-out race, and who gets the best luck out of the draft. So it's just going to be a free-for-all. It's going to be interesting for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Ant. Great to hear from you, and best of luck here in the oval race.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're really good to see how Anthony Felix gets on during this oval race, and you can hear he's got a lot of American support here in New York as well. That's something that's been brilliant here, isn't it? Is the crowd. They've been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to have a live crowd here because you get a genuine reaction. Of course, sometimes we don't have the pleasure of having a live crowd, and having it here, I mean, you get to feel the excitement. It's just great to be able to share this with people here in New York.
So what do you think the tactics are going to be going into this race then? I mean, are there going to be any tactics? Is it just flat out or flat broke?
Well, as Ant rightly said, it's a slipstream race. We're not really going to know who's in contention for this until we get onto the last lap. And of course, we also have the overtake system there as well, which gives you an extra 50 horsepower, which might not sound like a lot on its own, but that takes the cars from 650 to 700. And if you need that extra couple of attempts, that extra nose at the end, hitting the overtake button is how you're going to do it.
Could make the crucial difference, couldn't it? Slipstream is going to be very important here as well. We're going to see a lot of drivers drafting. No bump drafting allowed, though. That's been clarified by the race stewards.
I wouldn't recommend bump drafting an open-wheel car anyway. You're probably going to end up upside down very quickly. But yeah, it's just trying to position yourself in the right place at the right time. We might see some people working together. You can still work together without bump drafting. So we'll wonder if we'll see any of that down there.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, in the Nürburgring, of course, we were at the Nürburgring 24-hour event for World Tour 2. And we caught up with real-life racing driver David Pirrell to discuss how sim racing helps him on the track.
I've already won the Blancpain overall. We've had an amazing year so far, but I really want to end it well with the Endurance Cup title, which is, to me, the most important one. It started when I was about 3 or 4 years old. I saw a picture of my dad in a race car. But I started to get more sort of passionate about it when I started to play Gran Turismo.
play a lot at the high-speed ring. I can still remember the Corvette hitting another car and sort of half taking off. Yeah, I love that game. Since then, I've been a Gran Turismo fan my whole life and still play it a lot to this day, use it as a sort of tool to improve my driving. Sort of through that in the GT Academy, I pursued a career in GT racing, which I managed to achieve. I'm always shocked when I hear professional drivers tell me that they spend maybe 20 minutes a month on sim racing.
Staying on the outside, and at this point here I'm using all of my experience from sim racing. This isn't necessarily a real life experience, but I've seen these moves before in sim racing, and immediately I could tell there's a car on my inside and he's going to hit the Lamborghini, so I intentionally had already set up to move off track and avoid the carnage that unfolded. I waited for them to come back before accelerating, so I didn't gain any advantage. That orange car there is the car that hit the Lamborghini. And yeah, so that was a move I'd seen in sim racing.
It's so integral to what we do. To do real life testing in GT racing is so expensive, like in the tens of thousands of euros for one day. Whereas you can go home, you can isolate yourself from the rest of the world, play against real guys, fast guys, slow guys, you can learn racetracks. I mean, one of the great things of Gran Turismo is the accuracy of their track, not just the layout, but the curbing and the track markings, which you can carry over to real life. And I don't see why anyone would not find any value in that. I spend about 90 minutes in the morning, and if I find it necessary, another hour in the evening. I take it quite seriously. I have a program that I devised myself to how do I maximize my sim experience and cross over to real life racing.
Well, great there to hear from David Perel. You can hear the crowd here in New York as well. They're ready for the repechage race coming up very, very shortly indeed. The drivers all lined up on their respective rigs as well. And Jimmy Broadbent, one of the things we should probably discuss is mindset going into this race. It's very different to what we're used to in GT Sport and the World Tour competitions.
It is, yes, and we're going to see how the drivers deal with it here. The repechage race here in New York, the Blue Moon Speedway.
So then, are we ready? Yes, we certainly are. Repechage race, Blue Moon Bay Speedway, Super Formula Toyota cars as well. Don't forget, they've got that boost function, which could be very interesting to see how they get on. Adam Sassuillo lines up on pole position. Finished fifth, of course, in semi-final A. Alongside him, Anthony Felix, the American driver. A lot of support for him here this afternoon. Manuel Rodriguez finished sixth, of course, in semi-final A. He's at the head of row two. And alongside Rodriguez, it's Patrick Blajan, who was so impressive with his defensive driving last time out. Baptiste Wivois is in fifth position, the Frenchman. And alongside Baptiste, we have Marek Lino in sixth place. Then in seventh, you can see that it is Randall Hayward, the American driver. And you can hear the crowd in the background supporting him. Alongside Randall, it's Jonathan Wong. Ninth and 10th on the grid, we have Daniel Solis, wiggling his wheels, ready to start. And alongside Solis, it is Andrew Brooks there, you can see on your screen in 10th. Benjamin Barder in 11th position. And just after Benjamin, lining up 12th and last on the grid, it is Adam Wilk from Australia. So, Michelin tyres on the cars. Blue Moon Bay Speedway, 15 laps. That's going to go by very quickly.
It's going to go very quickly, but there's going to be a lot of action, I can tell you that now. It's the start-finish line on the other side of the circuit. It's a banked circuit, this thing, to carry a lot of speed through the corners. There is a car we are using there. Again, the Super Formula 19 Toyota engine overtaking system we mentioned before. The top-tier racing in Japan. Apparently maximum output of 542 horsepower, but that goes up quite a bit once you hit that overtake button. So, coming through the last corner now, preparing there are all our drivers. You can see them with their names. The Randall Hayward there in the top left, Sassuillo in the bottom left, Wilk top right, Maragino bottom right. So here we are then, Tom. Repechage.
About to get it underway, isn't it? It's going to be hugely exciting to see how these drivers will fare down towards that first corner. So, Sassuillo, pole position, he will line up. Rolling start, of course, here at the Blue Moon Bay Speedway. Wait for that countdown to come on. As soon as it does, we will get the repechage race underway. Top four go through. Who will do it now? Repechage in New York is underway. Sassuillo leads the field over the line. Felix there as well. Keep an eye out for Rodriguez. All the drivers darting into the slipstream there. Some trying to duck away and break away out of that slipstream. Down towards that first turn. We we go. High into the corner for Adam Zaswillo, up the inside, nearly there for Anthony Felix. Down on the straight we are, and then we're going to head in towards turn number 3, and Felix there signalling his intentions, looking aggressive early doors here.
You can tell there on the roll hoop, the green light, when that starts flashing, the drivers are using their overtake systems. Keep an eye out for that. Of course, at the moment, it's anyone's game. Looks like the Felix looking to try and go down the low side of Zaswillo. Not quite managed to do that. Maybe we'll try a run around the outside. No, for now, staying in behind Adam. Now, drivers are being told they aren't allowed to bump draft here, but I'm seeing a little bit of drum drafting there going down the straight, so I wonder if that's something the stewards are going to pick up. Manny Rodriguez signals his intentions very early, goes low there. Right at the bottom of the circuit, they're using the downforce.
Look at Beauvoir, he's on the inside here as well against Anthony Felix going through turn number 2. They were nearly side by side. Now Rodriguez is up into second. That's good early doors from him.
Yeah, it's all about just positioning your car right now. I mean, you want to try and get up to the closest part of the top of the field as soon as you can without really burning the tyres too much at this point. It's a very different game over racing. See the drivers going side by side. Is that nearly 4 wide, 3 wide there, coming down T3, and now coming down the back straight once again. Rodriguez now leads the pack. Everyone's vying for position. There goes Felix looking to try and maybe take a position.
Haywood as well coming into play here, Jimmy. He's up into 5th place, and he's already in the slipstream and ducking and diving. You can see him there in the middle of his shot. Up the inside, 4 wide, nearly into the left-hander. Absolutely brilliant. Rodriguez now leads the way, side by side as well between Blajan and Zaswillo for position. Zaswillo gets ahead. Anthony Felix there in 4th place. You can see him ducking out of the slipstream of Blajan, trying to send it through down the inside, trying to go low into the turn. Zaswillo's trying to attack against Rodriguez here on the outside down into turn 3.
Rather just trying to carry the speed there. This car's come off a lot of speed in the corners. They don't really set up for the over right now. They're in a high downforce configuration, so they really stick to the corners again. 3 wide.
Haywood's low. Haywood's on the inside. Keep an eye out there. Oh, yes. A lot of contact going on through there as well. Look at Rodriguez. Look at Haywood here. He's trying to challenge for the lead, and he is in the slipstream here of Manny Rodriguez, who's the current leader. Side by side they come. Haywood's going for the race lead. Up the inside.
Big hit there. Maragolino goes into the wall and tags. I think that was Blajan, though. They're still managing to carry the speed. Now Haywood there in second place. The American driver going to go down low, down the inside and take the lead of this race. Haywood there getting a little bit of help there from the car behind. A bit of a tap there. Blajan looking around the outside, but meanwhile keeping low and again into the wall going. I think that was Maragolino just touched the wall there, but still going. So Haywood, centre of the course. Maragolino down low, coming out of T3 again onto lap 5.
The man who was leading the way at the start of this race, Anthony Felix, that's how quickly over racing changed. He's down to 10th, look as well, as we're on the left-hand side of your picture. Absolutely brilliant stuff. Danny Solis is trying to challenge his way through. He's now up to 7th. 4 wide once again, down in towards turns.
Oh, Haywood makes a mistake.
He's in the wall.
A big mistake.
Haywood's in the wall there. He's really dropped back and lost out massively, down to 9th place now. Rodriguez versus Maragolino for the race lead. Riding on board here with the Italian driver. Into the left-hander we go, of course, of turn number 2. On the outside he is. He goes higher into the turn. That allows Zaswillo to have a bit of an advantage to go up through into 2nd place here. And Beauvoir now is on the attack. Maragolino down to 4th, nearly 5th place because Wilkes coming into play.
See, none of them using their overtake. They're all saving it. They all know it's going to be a sprint to the line, so it's just getting yourself in a good position there. Beauvoir using the toe and the slingshot to go through the middle. It's 3 wide again, going down the main straight, going into 1. Zaswillo tries to go around the outside, carrying that downforce, tagging the wall a little bit there on the exit, but just about getting away with it. And now all the cars going low. Rodriguez doing a good job to stay at the head of the field, because that's what matters. It's not where you are right now, it's where you are on the second to last lap.
On the outside there for Adam Zaswillo, ducks back in, just behind Salvatore Maragolino as well. Of course, Maragolino very much in the wars in the last race that we had in semi-final B. Just a reminder, the top 4 drivers that finished in this race will go through to the grand final, so it's going to be crucially important. And of course, you can see it is anybody's guess given the number of lead changes and the overtakes that we have seen in this race. Into the slipstream they dart, all everyone trying for the inside line, trying to go lower into the turn. You can see Danny Solis there trying to attack Jonathan Wong, also in and amongst the mix as well, as Beauvoir now leads the way. So Zaswillo and somebody else into the wall there in the background. Looks like it was Danny Solis who just tapped it on the outside, and also Andrew Brooks coming into the foray here too.
On board then was Solis, currently running 5th on the track. Trying the low line with Maragolino. Of course, there is a little bit of push there in these cars, so you see just opening the steering, trying to take a traditional racing line. You don't see that very often on an oval, given that it's essentially 1 or 2 tracks you can run. Maragolino a bit slow there into 3, actually holding up Solis, and now the train goes down there, and Zaswillo gets freight trained down to 5th position, and Solis using that run, the draft, the American driver up into 3rd position now, on the back of Beauvoir, coming into 1.
you can see there, very aggressive stuff indeed. There, look at Solis, look at the steering lock. He's taking his loss down massively there as Swillow finds his way through. Jonathan Wong coming into play now, as well as Randall Hayward still going backwards, still stuck in that mid-pack, not able to find his way back past Anthony Felix, of course, your early race leader, also in amongst the pack there as well, as he's battling with Adam Wilk for track position. Now there's a bit of a splinter group breaking away here, Jimmy. The top four just battling for position there now as well. You can see the Japanese commentators, they would very much like their drivers to do well, as would, of course, the Italians, and they would like Salvatore Maraclino to try and challenge for this race lead. Here we go with Beauvoir, Swillow on the outside, going low into the turn. Will Rodriguez, Maraclino opts for the inside, or the outer side line there, coming into it now as well. But I said that sprinter group had broken away as somebody into the wall. That's Jonathan Wong at the top there. So, very interesting to see how it was, and that sprinter group has broken down now, and it's everybody else for themselves.
Yeah, pretty important to, well, the slipstream round here is what keeps these cars together, as what we heard from Ant before the race. It's going to be a slipstream race, he said. Yeah, right it is. Ant up into fourth position now, and again, bear in mind, the top four will go through to the final. Everybody else, their competition is over, so everyone is vying for those top four positions. Manny Rodriguez is doing well, holding the lead right now. He's always been second or first pretty much throughout this race. I think he's done a bit of over-racing before. It seems like he has gathered by his driving so far. Felix trying the high line there, using a bit more speed. You see that wall comes up so quickly, nearly crushing a tire on the wall. You do that, you lose a lot of speed. And Felix now looking to try and get back up into the second position.
One of the things I have to say, though, is the immersion, this speed sense that you get here on GT Sport is brilliant, though. Look at how fast these cars look, especially when we were riding on board there with Anthony Felix. Here's Beauvoir, he's in the slipstream, he goes low, as does Felix as well. Swillow there on the outside. Solis also looking very aggressive. He's on the inside now of Adam Swillow, tries to find his way past. Solis down for the inside line. He's going to try and challenge for this race lead before very long as we come down towards that first corner. 11 laps out of 15 we are on now. Felix goes for the higher line. He goes for that outside line as he did last time there, Jimmy. Seems to be something that seems to be working for him so far. But he's in the wall there, gets bit by Swillow. And also you can see there as well, Hayward and Blajan in and amongst the drama.
My word, that was pretty dirty there. Swillow came up on Felix and put him into the wall there. Luckily, of course, not running much damage in or any damage in these races, so Felix can come back again, but that's going to slow him right down, put him down outside the top four where he needs to be. Rodriguez still leading this Spanish driver, really showing he can handle the pressure from the guys behind, getting a bit of a bump there. Now, the stewards said no bump drafts in this race, but I don't think it's possible. They're so close together right now that trying to make a move every time basically means you get freight trained by the guys behind, ahead of you, guys behind you, and you lose some position. So Rodriguez holding the high line out there, or a little bit of contact down the bottom. And again, let us know that, guys, your Michelin driver of the day. Use the hashtag Michelin FIA GTC to vote on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. We want to know from you guys who you think has performed well today. But now, back to the reportage.
On board with Danny Solis then in the slipstream. Here he goes. Manuel Rodriguez tries to defend that inside line. He goes low into the turn, as does Beauvoir. Likewise there, Danny Solis, otherwise known as Carl Lamb, challenging for position. He's going to try and change the race lead there. Side by side he goes for the outside line as they come down towards that first corner on the start-finish straight here at the Blue Moon Bay Speedway. He's going for that higher line. Is Solis here. It's not going to be able to make him through, I don't think. There, he's going to lose a little bit of speed, and that allows also the door to open as Maraclino comes through now.
This is it now, Tom. We're coming into the last couple of laps of the race. This way to start positioning your cars. For those in the top six, are those realistically in with a chance at the moment to go through to the final here at New York. We have just over a couple of laps to go at this point, coming through two now, and after three, Daniel Solis again giving Maraclino a bit of a push. Beauvoir and Rodriguez still holding the top two out front. Solis looks to the outside as we come on to the penultimate lap.
So side by side we go. Here is Rodriguez defending his lead. Here comes Wong coming through now as well. Side by side, three wide down to turn one. Wong with the middle ground there, but Rodriguez there with the inside line. Beauvoir on the outside, and keep an eye out as well in the background. Adam Wilk looking pretty racy here.
There he is, Rodriguez there, still at the front at the moment. He's still got it. We have just over a lap and a half to go. Rodriguez in the hot seat. Jonathan Wong coming up into second position. Beauvoir in third, and Wilk now, the Australian driver, coming up into fourth position. It is anybody's game.
Side by side they come down the top finish straight. There will be in a few moments time through turn number 3 once again. Rodriguez with that inside line. Rodriguez defending. Look as well as the Swillow Maraclino coming into play, and also Andrew Brooks. He's managed to make his way up through the field as we're on the final lap here, Jimmy.
It's a white flag then at the Blue Moon Speedway. Rodriguez currently has the hot seat. Now watch those roll hoops, the flashing light. When that comes on, the players are using boost. Rodriguez now has the run coming down to T2. Beauvoir in second place, Wong in third. Brooks now up into fourth position. He's fighting with Wilk there side by side. line. Meanwhile, Rodriguez and Beauvoir break away. Beauvoir looks to the inside line, thinks he's going to follow instead. They're all using boost right now, as you expect them to. Brooks in third, Wong in fourth, Solis there in fifth. Can Solis upset these guys? Can the American get through to the finals? He's up to fourth position. He's on the boost. It's going to be Rodriguez that takes the win here at Blue Moon. Brooks second, and Solis comes home in third with Jonathan Wong in fourth. What a finish there. The American driver, his first ever final, and look at Manny Rodriguez there. I think he's taken a big old sigh of relief. What a race there from the Spanish driver.
Absolutely amazing there from Manuel Rodriguez. There is Nicolas Rubilar as well, the Chilean driver. There are our Spanish commentators, draped with the flags over their shoulders as well. Fantastic stuff. Right at the very end of that one, kept a cool and calm head, did Manuel Rodriguez, used the boost to perfection, drove a brilliant race tactically, and takes victory in the repechage. And I tell you what, there was such a huge cheer as Danny Solis came over the line in third place. He makes it through to the grand final in New York.
Well, the reason why it's such a big deal for him is because he's a gamepad player. He rarely uses the wheel, so to come here and get through to the finals of a World Tour event, I mean, I'm stoked for him. That's fantastic. But you can't take anything away from Manny Rodriguez. He was just controlling the pace the entire time. And you saw him at the end there. He just looked exhausted. He was like, oh, I go, one more race to go, I guess.
Yeah, pretty stressful, isn't it? Well, let's have a look then, shall we, at the replays of that race and some highlights of exactly what happened. So, of course, it was Swiller who started on pole position. He was nowhere, though, with the checkered flag, Jimmy.
It's so easy to get shuffled down in the order here. Over race is all about momentum and working together. As Swiller was to start at the front of the field, unfortunately, he was shuffled down as the race went on. So you see a couple of drivers in the background were warning their tyres early on. And we saw Felix, who was a strong contender at the start of the race, but again, unfortunately got shuffled towards the end. You can see at this moment, we were nearly 5 wide coming down the straight as the players all vying for position. And sometimes, unfortunately, some people had a little bit of contact. Here we are then down the bottom. Here was Randall Hayward, who very temporarily took first position. That was his time in the spotlight. Unfortunately, he will not be going through to the final, getting a little bit of a bump there from the car behind. There's Blajan. Great views there from our replay cameras. And here was Felix. This is where Felix got put into the wall by Swillow. He's up high here on board, and then look to the left. Bam! There's Swillow.
Yeah, not going his way at all there for Anthony Felix. Did manage to regroup. Here we go. There you go. Bit of a smile on his face there, though. After that, he knows about what happened. There is Jonathan Wong. He had the middle ground here. You can see Rodriguez there on the inside line, Beauvoir on the outside there. Keep an eye out for Mariglino, who was also in the background. But this is the last lap, Jimmy. Everybody using their boost to perfection. Rodriguez timing it very well indeed. So close between them. Brooks in second, Solis in third, and Jonathan Wong in fourth.
There you go. That's what it means there to Solis. You've got to feel sorry for Beauvoir, though. You see here on your results, just narrowly missing out on the final, given that he was there or thereabouts for pretty much the entire race. To lose it on that last couple of laps must be frustrating for him.
Rodriguez, Brooks, Solis, Wong make it through. Beauvoir, Wilk, Barder, Mariglino, Anthony Felix, Randall Hayward, Sassuolo and Patrick Blajan, sadly, will go no further here this afternoon in the World Tour event in New York. So we now have, Jimmy, our finalists ahead of the grand final this afternoon, which is going to be hugely exciting.
I'm still recovering.
I know, me too. Well, let's take a break, shall we, and head back down to Julia.
Wow, the repechage never ceases to just be one of like the favorite races, because I mean that's it, you know, you don't get in that position 1 to 4, that is it. I'm sorry. I mean it's nice, they can go and have a sit down and relax, but they are not going home, you know, with a podium finish. Absolutely fantastic. Obviously Rodriguez there, and Solis, we were very happy in the audience for him to go through there, hearing a lot of cheering, which is fantastic. I think we now have our 12 drivers that are going through to the final. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. We're going to find out very, very soon who is the New York Gran Turismo champion. I'm very excited. We're going to go to that very, very soon. But we do want to show you a little piece of videotape that we have, which is all about the South American dominance that have been actually blazing through this particular competition.
South America has been dominating. You guys have been dominating.
Your first FIA GT champion. Here he comes across the line. He is world champion. ¡Qué grande! ¡Vamos! ¡Vamos! ¡Qué grande!
It's very hard to explain, right? But I think it's the motivation, or you know, how much do you want to win?
I know, like, you know, people within North America are like, we have to beat these.
I think South Americans are always very passionate about motorsports and about everything they do.
When it comes down to it, every region has very strong drivers. At the end of the day, the best driver could be from anywhere.
South American drivers have just excelled in the last 2 events, purely based on luck.
At this point, I just like winning races, and I just like kicking everybody's butt, and that's what it's all about.
I think it's fun to be competing on, my home turf, essentially. We're in the United States, and North America has a huge, strong group, of competitors and racers. And we're also going to have a live audience, which I think might be kind of crazy too. So you're going to have that energy, of the city, of the people.
When you have people cheering you on, you feel the audience, their voices inside you like as vibrations. You just get the urge to drive faster, and I think it actually makes me go much faster than I usually do.
It is completely a dream, because when I was a little kid, I can say, to be here on a theater building by PlayStation, it's just amazing.
The crowd here in New York are ready for the grand final of the Nations Cup for the FIA Gran Turismo Championships. This is going to be an absolute thriller. Hold on to your hats, because it's coming up very shortly indeed. Well, Jimmy, we've seen some brilliant racing action, especially in that repechage. We couldn't have asked for closer racing than that, could we?
Over racing. It's what produces, man. Some people say that turn on the left is boring. Watch that.
Absolutely fantastic, wasn't it? So, well, the circuits, the cars we're going to be using, hugely exciting for this this Nations Cup final, of course, because it's a brand new track on GT Sport.
It is, but before we get into that, here are our starting lineup. Of course, Mick Hazell, winner of the first race. Starting first, Igor Fraga second, Cody Lepkowski third, Rubelar fourth. That is a very strong top four to that. Mirzono, a very quick driver in his own right, fifth. Darouche, who did very well in our race in the Group B's, in sixth. Lopez seventh. Cockburn eighth. Rodriguez ninth. Brooks 10th, and of course, Stanley Solis and Jonathan Wong making up the back of the field. Now that track, Tom, let's get into it.
Yeah, Spa-Francorchamps, the circuit with the shortest name, but the longest excitement per lap, you can guarantee it. And it is absolutely fantastic to have it in GT Sport again. Racing hard, medium and soft compound tyres in the Red Bull X 2019 cars are what the drivers are going to be using. 20 laps here at this circuit, so a relatively long race. They have to use each tyre compound at least once during the course of this one. You can see 2 times fuel consumption, 6 times tyre wear. And here's the strategy, Jimmy.
Yep, as you can see, racing soft tyres, we expect them to last for 5 laps. You can see the difference in tyres in terms of time. The racing hard tyre being 2.4 seconds a lap slower than the racing soft tyres. So getting that right and using them at the right time is really going to be important.
Certainly is. Here is the fuel strategy as well. 20 laps, of course, tank capacity of 100 litres on these Red Bull X 2019 cars. Fuel consumption rate times 2. You get about 10 to 14 laps there and thereabouts with a full tank. So they will have to pit for fuel on probably, well, at least one occasion.
Yeah, and of course we saw how important fuel was last time with Coco Lopez running out of fuel on the second to last corner. So these guys really cutting it fine. If you can save that little bit more fuel and take a little bit less time in the pits, that can make the difference.
Well, Jimmy, who's your money on for this one, crucially?
Well, there he is.
If you're a betting man.
I'd say Mick. I think it's his time. Yeah, I think it's his time. He showed such a great performance earlier on. I reckon this could be it for him.
And if you want to get involved and tell us your driver of the day, use the hashtag MichelinFIAGTC, and you can get involved on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever the social media platform may be, and let us know who you think has been the top driver here this afternoon in the Nations Cup for World Tour 3.
One more race yet to come yet, so don't vote just yet.
Yeah, wait till the end, see what happens. Yeah, these Red Bull X 2019 cars, we know how tricky little so-and-sos they can be as well in terms of the performance, so it's going to be exciting to see how they will fare on track. So let's get ready then, shall we? Grand final time coming up for the Nations Cup in New York. It's the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships World Tour 3 event, the grand final for the Nations Cup. Coming up here at Spa-Francorchamps, Mick Hazell lines up on pole position in the Red Bull X 2019. Alongside Mick, it is Igor Fraga, the reigning Nations Cup champion. Row 2 on the grid is Cody Lepkowski. Keep an eye out for the Australian. Alongside Cody Nicola, it's Nicolas Rubelar, the winner of World Tour 1 in Paris. Third row of the grid, Takuma Miyazono, the fast Japanese driver. Alongside Takuma, it is Rayan Darush, who was so impressive in semi-final B at the Autopolis circuit. Koke Lopez lines up in 7th position. He'll be hoping for a better finishing position for him. Alongside him is Ryota Kokuban, 4th in semi-final B, of course. 9th position, Manuel Rodriguez first in the repechage race. And alongside Manuel, it is Andrew Brooks, the Canadian driver, who just made it through to the repechage by the skin of his teeth. Now qualifies for the grand final. Danny Solis, the American driver. There's a lot of support for him here this afternoon in 11th position. And Jonathan Wong in 12th place here, Jimmy.
Massive cheer in the audience there with Danny Solis goes by. As you said, a lot of home support. And now we get our first glimpse of tyre strategies for our drivers. Mick Gazelle opting to start on the medium tyre. Interesting decision from him. And here are the cars we're using. Extreme vehicles in the Group X cars. I think there's not much more, many cars in the world that are more extreme than the Red Bull X 2019. They don't fit anywhere apart from this and, of course, prototype. So, and there is our hot pick for the race, Mick Gazelle. He finished first in the semi-final. He's finished second a couple of times in this event. I think now this could be the time, but he's got a hell of a job ahead of him.
Certainly has. 20 laps of Spa-Francorchamps is not for the faint-hearted, especially when you've got strategy to consider. Here is Mick Gazelle. He's on the bottom left-hand sled in the of your shot there. Igor Fraga alongside him, Cody Lukovsky, Nicolas Rubelar, and that's, funnily enough, how they line up on the grid in the positions that they are on the sleds as well. Koke Lopez also in the top left-hand corner of your screen. The crowd going wild here in New York as we get ready then to get this one underway. Through the bus stop chicane we go. The applause and the cheers here in New York show as we are ready to get this race underway then. So lights out and away we go. Grand final for New York is underway in World Tour 3 for the Nations Cup. Down towards La Source for the first time we go. Gazelle with the inside line with the race lead. Down in towards that first turn we go. Fraga versus Rubelar as they go side by side. And Rubelar shoveled out wide at La Source. Rubelar is shoveled out wide and he drops down massively through the field. And now it's Miyazono versus Lukovsky for 3rd position. Up through Rouge and Ragnon we go for the first time.
Gazelle with a great start there. That's what he wanted, but now he's going to be giving a toe to Fraga behind with a much better run through. Miyazono there in the background. Fraga goes to the outside almost instantly. Look at the run the Brazilian driver has on Mick Gazelle. And Fraga goes up into the lead before he even got down to Lake Com. Here we go then, hard on the brakes, and there you go. Fraga takes the lead. Mick Gazelle second. Miyazono for Lukovsky in 4th. And Koke Lopez up to 5th position from 7th from the grid.
You'd expect Fraga to be quicker in these early stages. He's on the soft combat of tyres, whereas Mick Gazelle is on the medium, so that might hurt him in these opening stages. Keep an eye out as well for Rayan Darush, who was looking very aggressive in the blue X 2019. There is Cody Lukovsky now defending from Koke Lopez. Lopez has made 2 positions. He started down in 7th place. He's now already up inside the top 5. Meanwhile, it's all gone wrong, sadly, of course, for the man who was shuffled out wide in the first corner, Nicolas Rubelar. He's down into 11th position as these cars come ascending through Pouhon for the first time.
Really important if you're on that soft compounder tyre to be getting through these guys as quick as possible. Miyazono in the hard compounder tyre, that's what he needs to be. He's holding up Lukovsky, he's holding up Lopez behind in that soft compounder of tyre, and they aren't able to utilise the grip those softer compounds provide. Now coming through Stavlo 1 and Stavlo 2, and Fraga already has a 2-second lead over Mick Gazelle. That tyre difference really showing through the middle sector. Here is Lopez.
Get down in towards Blanchimont. We're going to go for the first time passing through that fast left-handed kink. They're going to be easy flat in these Red Bull X 2019 cars. A little bit of weaving there on the outside of that corner. You can see Koke Lopez there. Is he going to try and attack? You can see Miyazono defending against Lukovsky. Lukovsky's going for the outside line. He's on the inside line to the next corner, and Lukovsky goes through into the left-hander. Miyazono also losing out to Koke Lopez. Miyazono into the pits after lap 1.
I don't think he meant to do that, Tom. And even that, always getting on the hard tyre as quick as possible. You saw as well when we were on board with Lopez. He was adjusting his wheel. He was turning down his fuel. He was trying to serve as much fuel as possible whilst in the draft there, using that up the hill. So here's Miyazono. He's gone for a very early pit stop. That's going to put him in traffic on the medium compounder tyre. I don't know if that's a good shout. Now, there's Solis at the back there. He had a bit of a terrible start. I'm not quite sure what happened to him. But he's in that hard compounder tyre too. So, your order after 1 lap. Igor Fraga leads, Brazilian driver, from Mick Gazelle in 2nd. Cody Nicola Lukovsky in 3rd. And Koke Lopez in 4th.
And there is Koke Lopez, the Spaniard as well, who really would like to get onto the podium. He'd love to qualify for the final. Here is Kokuban versus Darush. Down towards Lake Coon we go for the second time of asking. Up the inside there for Kokuban. He's now up into 5th place. Nice bit of driving there from the Japanese man. And now you can see Manuel Rodriguez, who's tried to challenge against Rayan Darush as well, as they close up on one another. But no opportunity for Rodriguez at the moment to be making those moves. But speaking of making moves, Rubelar is making his ascension back through the field. He's ahead of Jonathan Wong in 10th place. He's now into 9th. And now his next target is the Canadian Andrew Brooks.
Fraga.
White Oh, he's really wide and a bit of sliding coming out of that left-hander. So in towards the left-hander and Pouon we go once again there for Rubelas. So really not ideal there for him at the moment. He really needs to get himself in contention in this race. He's going to have a very hard task from this point of doing so. There is Lukovski through the left-hander we go. Then in towards the right once again we are. And Lukovski doing a good job there in third position, but just doesn't seem to have the pace at the moment of the likes of Hazal and Fraga in front.
Double one there, goes up the inside of Andrew Brooks, coming into Stavro 1, almost forced him off the circuit. Brooks out wide, gets a little bit sideways there, trying to come out of the exit of Stavro 2, and that allows Rubelas to get back alongside, but Nico Rubelas starting with that soft compounded tyre, that's a disaster for him. He's used up his fastest tyre whilst basically squabbling for 10th or 9th position, so he's really going to be suffering. And Mirzano comes back through in the medium compounds, they're using that straight line speed, using the draft that is produced by these cars, and Mirzano, he wants another one up the inside of Brooks there on the medium compound tyre. So Mirzano pitted very early as the hard compound, making progress back for the real, and now Rayan Darouche and Danny Solis coming to the pit lane.
Yeah, both of those drivers want to get off the hard compound as soon as possible. You can see visibly how much slower it is compared to the hard compound of tyres. There is Danny Solis in 11th position. Well, it wasn't 11th position before he went to the pit lane. He'll emerge presumably in that same place. It's been a disappointing race so far there. Here is the tyre strategy on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, as you can see, and 2.4 seconds a lap slower for those hard compound tyres. Small wonder they want to shed it as soon as they can.
I've got to say, I think the tyres are slower, and I think the soft tyre is incredibly quick around here, given that Fraga has been 6 seconds of Mick Hazal in only a couple of laps. That's amazing. So what we need to really look at is the gap between Hazal and Lukovski, because they are both in the same compounded tyre, and that gap is about a second at the moment. I think maybe Lukovski being carried along there by Coco Lopez, also in the soft compounded tyre, but he's being slowed up somewhat by these guys running on the medium.
Down towards Pouon, these drivers go through that left-hander. We are once again looking at Coco Lopez. He's now in the dirty air here, Jimmy, as well, of these X2019s. And, well, how effective is that on these cars? How much of a difference does it make when you're driving behind a car, especially in these tight and twisty corners, fast and flowing in some areas? But, yeah, it's not ideal, is it?
No, especially going through the fast left-hander, Pouon. A very quick fifth-gear corner. If you're following someone through there, you're basically being robbed of downforce because of the dirty air these cars tick up, which basically means in short terms you understeer and you go flying off a circuit. You have to lift. But here's where you want to have the slipstream, is coming up the hill. You're not going through the same air the car in front of us, and it's very difficult. So here's a great example coming from here. Rubelas looks to the inside, pulls out from behind Brooks, who hasn't got to deal with the dirty air, and then Brooks has no choice but to tuck in behind Rubelas, which slows him back down again.
It's not helpful at all, as you say, quite easily to see that there. So meanwhile, Fraga leading the way on these soft tyres. He wants to sell those as soon as possible. He's put in a 7.9-second lead over Mikael Hazal in second position. Don't forget, of course, Igor Fraga has already qualified for the grand final in Monaco. He did that, of course, in World Tour 2. Last time out, Andrew Brooks into the pit lane in third position. He goes on to the medium compound here, Jimmy.
The strategy is how long do you stay on the medium, because the hard compounds are going to shed, it seems, as quick as you can. So it's how long you can make the medium last, and then how long you can make the soft tyre last. So, we'll see what the hard drivers will do with that. Mirzano, currently, he was someone who put him very early on, one of 4 pitters so far, currently in second place, now coming up to the back of Manny Rodriguez, who's on that hard compound. Look at the speed there, 310k's, 313k's, that's nearly 200 mile an hour, hard on the anchors now, coming into Lake Cobb, just breaking at the curb on the left, and there you go, nice move by Mirzano, up into 6th position, maybe hitting early paid off.
It's good for Mirzano, has been very impressive here today in this Nations Cup event. Hugely exciting, we've seen him do so well, and he's kept relatively quiet out there on track in terms of the on-track action, but he's been there and thereabouts, and exactly what we like to see from Mirzano, now up into 6th position, just behind his fellow countryman, actually, Rio Kokibun there, who is in 5th place as well. So down towards Pouon we go once again, lap 4 out of 20. Now the crucial thing is here, Jimmy, when are these guys going to blink in terms of their pit stops? Mirzano has already made that pit stop, as we can see on track here, but what about Fraga, Hazal, Lukovski and Lopez? Because Fraga and Lopez, of course, soft compound tyres, Hazal, Lukovski, medium compound tyres.
It's a tricky one to call this, because we know how quick everyone around here is on every compound tyre pretty much, but it seems like that soft tyre really is, I think it's a lot quicker than we've seen, Tom, from the graphic. I think it's a lot quicker because Mick Hazal is not 9 seconds over 4 laps slower than Igor Fraga. And I think that when we do see the transition, that will be the point where we know how this race is going to end up. Now, importantly, for Hizal and Lukowski, who I think gives the best effort, and I'll go back to that in a second, as Nico Rubler goes a long way round of Blanchimont past Jonathan Wong. You don't see that very often. That is down to that soft compounded tyre, still working very well on the Chileans' Red Bull X2019. And Coco Lopez picking up a penalty, seemingly, I'm going to guess, for track limits.
Yeah, it seems to be the way. There it is, 1 second for Coco Lopez. Far from ideal for the Spaniard. Just to remind you, by the way, even if Igor Fraga does win here today, it does still mean that it doesn't mean that, for example, that if Hizal, Lukowski or whoever finishes in second place, they will then take that spot for the grand final, the world final, I should say, in Monaco later on this year. Essentially, it just means that Igor Fraga takes up 2 spots and 2 wins, so that is what that represents. So we'll keep an eye out and see how things go regarding that one at the moment, because Igor Fraga is doing a really good job, great strategy and great pace he's got behind the wheel of that. He's still able to extend that lead crucially at the moment over Mikael Hizal. Here is Coque Lopez then. He's just coming into the penalty zone here, Jimmy, and this is a really crucial part of the lap through turn 9 down in towards Boulogne.
It's acceleration zone there, so for a second you are completely off the power on the brakes. You can see the difference that makes. The gap goes from about 3-4 tenths of a second all the way up to 2 seconds there. It really does slow you down, so of course that deters our drivers from going out there and being cheeky to try and play with the rules out there now. So we're on that 5 right now. Igor Fraga still making that soft tyre run. Mick Hizal on the medium, Cody on the medium. Now I'm going to guess we're going to see Mick Hizal try and I'm not sure what's going to go next. I would say probably go for the hard compounder tyre next and then go for a fast finish, because I think he's going to need that with Fraga, unless Fraga goes for the hard compounder tyre. You see, it's a high-speed chess game, and it all usually climaxes in a very scary finish.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? It's a case of if you go for the hard compounder tyre, do you want to be on that for as short a time as possible, or do you try to have a longer middle stint? So, you know, do you go and do it, for example, for 1 lap like Miyazono did? He got those tyres off very early doors, didn't he? Probably unintentionally, we have to go ahead as well, because he was left out wide at the bus stop at chicane. Meanwhile, just at the forefront of your shot there, you can see Igor Fraga leading the way very comfortably so far. That gap now up to 11.3 seconds. What a masterful performance for Fraga as things stand. It's been hugely impressive for him to be doing so well. And Mikael Hizal, who's on that medium compounder tyres, we know that there's a big differential in terms of pace. 1.3 seconds expected lap time difference between the racing soft and the racing medium tyres. However, 11.6 seconds over 6 laps rather, I should say, is well, very big indeed.
It is, and the comparison for that is Coco Lopez, who's currently the highest running soft runner other than Fraga. Here comes Miyazono from that position on Ryota Kokiburg. Thank you very much, mate. Easy as that. He's liking that. Essentially, Monk came straight, and up the inside of they come, and that's another place safe. A fantastic drive there from Miyazono. He's come from the back of the field after an early stop up to 5th, and with 1 stop done already.
He's at the end of lap 1, he's got that hard compounder tyre out the way. The good thing is he's very quick on these medium compounder tyres, is Miyazono, and he's going to have the softer compounder tyres at the very end of this race. So this could be a masterstroke of performance. Now here is Rubilar flashing the lights against Manuel Rodriguez. He was setting his way down the inside into Leku. Nicely done there from Rubilar. Slots himself back in front into the braking zone and is into 7th position here in this race. Both those drivers haven't pitted there yet as well. Rubilar, of course, on the soft compound. Rodriguez on the harder compounder tyres. And now here are the Japanese commentators in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, as you can see. Give us a little bit of a wave as they look at Takuma Miyazono. Is he going to be able to upset any of the apple cart here, because he's got the faster compounder tyres towards the end of this race, and that could be very important indeed.
Always very quiet reserve, those guys, aren't they? Very good accurate commentary.
Compare it to stage left with the Italians.
Yeah, exactly. That's you can't have a contrast. I'm pretty sure they're going to know the Italians after a little while, but here is Miyazono. Again, a good run for him up into 5th. Now, can he chase down Lopez in front? The gap just over 4 seconds. Of course, the lap around here is roughly around 2 minutes for 156 for Coco Lopez around there. So it's a long lap around here. 20 laps is not a short distance. It's almost half a Grand Prix distance. So these drivers really have to concentrate for a long time. Now, here we go. Manuel Rodriguez coming into the pits, getting rid of that hard compounder tyre and going from the medium. So he's spent 6 laps in the hard, and now suspect we'll see a similar distance on the medium and then go for a fast finish on the softs. But I mean, good and bad. He's going to have a bit of free air when he comes out the pit lane, but he's a long way off the back of the field right now.
Taking a lot of fuel on board here as well, crucially, as you can see there, just fueling his car up towards the end of this race. So opting to do that fuel strategy now, whilst he changes from hard onto the medium compacted tyres there, Jimmy, not on his second pit stop in this race when he changes over to the final compacted tyres that he'll need to use being the softs.
Look at the mini-map. Look at that does his position. I think what he's trying to do is just get himself some free air and just drive a bit of some hot laps. Hopefully that'll help him out. Meanwhile, Lopez has pulled back on to this little duo here of Mick Hazal and Cody Nikolakowski. And it seems that Cody's starting to slow down a little bit now, but doing a good job, both Mick and Cody, on these medium tyres. I think they're starting to go the other way now, as are the tyres on Fraga's X2019 machine. They've all had the best of them at this point. They're all just trying to make them now last as quick as they can, whilst having some semblance of performance still being delivered by those Michelin tyres. Now coming out, or coming into Stepford, you can see just a concentration of Cody. He always looks very serious when he's racing. He's never a man to betray any sort of emotion at all. Just sits there and gets some of it, which is probably one of the better traits of him as a driver.
Yeah, he's always calm, cool and collected, is Cody Nikolakowski, and even if things don't always go his way, you can guarantee that he will be one to have a kind word to say about most things. Down towards the bus stop chicane we go, hard on the brakes here with Cody Nikolakowski, then nicely driven there from him. That's such an aggressive curve on that first part of the bus stop here, Jimmy. It can really upset your final part of the lap, can't it? Yeah,
very easy to do that on the curbs. Very big curbs here. These cars are very low, slung to the ground. To hit that, it's a big hit. Oh, in comes Miazana, by the way, Fitz. But meanwhile, on the left-hand side of the screen, you're seeing the current stage of our Michelin player of the day. So currently, we have Fraga, Mick Hazal, and Danny Solis in the top three. You can vote in that, of course, yourself at home. Tom knows the hashtag. I've forgotten.
Yes, it's Michelin, hashtag Michelin FIA GTC.
That's why you're lead commentator, Tom.
Something like that. It's about the only thing I do know, Jimmy, to be honest with you. So Miazona out of the pits, then onto the soft compacted tyres. Now, 12 laps on the soft compacted tyres. That's a bold strategy, isn't it? Because the effective laps duration expected here in the final of this, 5 laps.
Well, we've you know what, they've been... I'm going to give whoever prepares the strategy slide a bit of stick here and say they've been right for a while. I mean, we usually see our drivers really push that tyre a lot longer than it's meant to go, of course, and that's really down to driver skill and just being kind to the tyre. I mean, it's very easy to go out there and scrub the tyre hard, especially like a corner like Rivage. If you're understeering, you want to turn the wheel a bit more and force the car to turn. But it's in these kind of cars, it's very precise driving. It's fingertip driving, just to make sure you be as smooth and precise as possible. You can't force these cars, otherwise you just burn the tyres, especially if you're in that softer compound. They'll go very quickly.
Yeah, they certainly will. Now, here is Igor Fraga. When is he going to blink? I was saying, actually, about the average tyre expectancy of being 5 laps. Igor Fraga's been, of course, on those soft tyres since the start of the race, 8 laps in. So, complete contrast to that expected tyre life. Now, Fraga, does he pit this time around? No, he does not. He goes on to start lap number 9 then. Yeah.
He's getting close to having a full pit stop at this point to be in front of the guys in front. So here's Mick Hazal. He's starting to pull away a little bit from Cody. We kind of see Cody pull back in every now and then, but I think the slipstream helps him out. He's almost out of slipstream range. Mick Hazal into the pits, and second place, blinks first. Does Cody follow him? He does not. So what was Mick going to do? Mick going to the hard, so he's going to go for a short middle stint. Cody does the same thing, so they're going to both go for a fast finish, and now it's up to Fraga to try and get as much space as possible between these two guys. He's going to be a sitting duck at the end if they manage to catch up.
Well, the thing is with Fraga, does he go from the softs to the hard compacted tyres, have another short medium stint, hard stint rather, and then go on to the mediums at the end of the race? So he's got more pace. How do you think he's going to have to play this one out?
If it were me, with the amount of life Fraga's got out of his soft tyres, it would be come in now, get the hards on for 1 lap, back out on the mediums. That's a fuel strategy, of course. Our driver's having to take fuel as well to make the end of his race, and it is important. The longer you stay in the pit lane, the longer you're stationary, more time you're losing on track. So getting that right is very important in the last position.
Jimmy here, look, because Cody Nikolakowski's emerged in 8th position. Mick Hazal still in 3rd place. Both of those drivers have pitted at the same time. So whether Nikolakowski
he's put fuel in,
hasn't he? Yeah, put more fuel in board, hasn't he?
Oh, hello.
Hello, there's Jonathan Wall, just going a little bit wide. Rio Koki, one of those drivers going side by side into the right hand and nearly, not quite close enough to make anything stick. A little bit wide there for Nikolakowski. Now that's important for Nikolakowski. He's in traffic here, whereas Mick Hazal, he's got a bit of a gap to Koke Lopez just in front.
This could be it. I think maybe not taking time. What he's trying to do is be quicker on this soft, on this hard compound. I'll put it right here, hard compound tyre, and really just being as well, damage limitation on that hard compound. So he's going to stay out there. And of course, as you said, Cody is emerged in traffic, which is a disaster, especially if you're quicker than the guys in front and on the hard compound tyre. So getting past him is going to be tricky. Now, will Fraga come into the pit lane? Will he go around again?
He does. He comes in. He pits. So Fraga does pit now. Crucially, what type of tyre does he go on to? Does he take on fuel this time around? He's got to. He's got 21 litres in. He has to. Goes to the hard compound tyres. Yeah, absolutely right there, Jimmy. So again, a shorter middle stint. Sensible choice there from Fraga. Although he's on the slower compound tyres because Hizal and Lukowski will be on the soft compound tyres, he'll still have the medium, so he'll still have some representative pace, but not a lot.
He's not taking any fuel. So I think what he's going to do is go round, maybe do a lap or two and come back in, bolt on those medium tyres and go to the end. He knows that the soft tyres will do 8 laps, the mediums will do a couple more. Lopez in the pits, he goes into the mediums, as does Rubelar, who's charging from the back of the field. So now things starting to liven up. I wonder if we're going to see the same strategy from Mick. Is he going to go round, come back
Lukowski's in. Lukowski's in as well here, Jimmy.
Straight onto the soft.
Yeah, straight onto the soft, and he's taking fuel on board as well. So that is going to be him to the end of the race then here, Lukowski. So he goes from the hards to the soft compound tyres. Get them out the way. Don't need them. Done. Out the race. And let's see how he's going to emerge, where he's going to emerge. The good thing is, because he did such a short stint, he hasn't lost too much time in comparison to Mick.
He's come right out, though, behind Rubelar. So they've both had... Rubelar's only had one pit stop, but now he's behind Rubelar. This is not going to be great for him. Brooks and Lopez going side by side right now as well. The Portuguese guys like that in the bottom left-hand corner. Brooks there goes defensive, and Lopez then darts out, sells him a dummy up the inside. Thank you very much. There, that's done. I am trying to figure out what these guys are all thinking right now. Jonathan Wong, yet to pit.
Yeah, absolutely right. Now, crucially here, Jimmy, Fraga and Hizal, are they going to, because Hizal's continued on for one more lap than Lukowski, are they going to go onto another compound tyre at the end of this lap? Are they going to pit? So Fraga's got an 18-second advantage over Mikael Hizal. Now, even if Mikael Hizal is, say, a second a lap faster, 2 seconds a lap faster, he's not going to have time to catch up with Fraga here, I don't think.
They need to do it now because they've got Mirzano, especially Hizal, Mirzano right up behind the German driver. He does not need a fight right now, and I think that they need to be reacting to Cody, who's on the soft tyre. If Cody can get a bit of free air, which I think he has, he can just go out and lap. Fraga, what's he going to do? Goes round again on the hard compound tyre. Interesting. So let's see if Mick does the same. Mirzano now, of course, he's had his last stop. He's out on that soft tyre till the end now. This is basically the position. He has to go as far as he can on the soft tyre. Mirzano might have played a masterstroke. There he goes up the inside into second place. And there's 18 seconds between him and Fraga and no more stops to make. In comes Hizal. He's reacting as oh no, he's knowing now that soft tyre Mirzano is going to go. He's coming to the soft compound himself. This could be a masterstroke from Mirzano.
This is a thinking man's race, isn't it? And Mirzano, who's absolutely mastered the thoughts of what you need to be able to do. You can see him driving there. You can see Mick Hizal in the pit lane. He takes his fuel on board here as well. Now, where is Hizal going to emerge in this race as Lukowski gets up to fourth? Everybody else in the pits there. You can see Wong, Kokibun, Brooks and Hizal all in the pits. A lot of fuel being taken on board there for Hizal. Now, yeah, where is he? This is the crucial thing. So coming into that, out of that column, there's Lukowski. There he is. So he's not managed to jump Hizal here.
He'll have to turn up the hill though, and he also has the run out of the source as Hizal was slow out of the pit lane. So now here we go, sprint to the line. We have Mirzano on the soft compound tyre. We have Hizal on the soft compound tyre. Cody Lukowski in the background also on the soft compound tyre. And it's now a game to try and catch Igor Fraga, who needs to 1, make a pit stop, and 2, try and get to the end on a medium compound tyre, which is slower than the hard compound he is currently on. So there is Cody Lukowski right up behind Mick Hizal. There is Fraga, our current race leader. This is all going to come together in a big clash at the end, and I wonder who's going to come good. Here is Hizal then coming through to No Name, using all the curve there on the right-hand side, trying to extend the track. Lukowski a bit wide there, getting onto the slippy stuff, and now into Pouon. Just a downshift. Chuck the car to the inside. Look at the soft grip here, right out there, back on the power. You're doing about 270 k's before you're coming into the final chicane. Does Fraga come in?
Yes, he does. Yeah, goes on to the soft compound of tyres, sorry, the hard compound of tyres, the medium compound. I'll get there in the end. There's only 3. We've got to pick one.
Fuel.
Yeah, 4 litres. He timed that. He had to pit. He had no other choice, didn't he, Igor Fraga? Now, where is he going to emerge against Mirzano? Mirzano, of course, has got the soft compound of tyres. He's got more pace at the end of this one. I'm going to call it now. I think Mirzano is going to try and battle for the lead. Has he gone ahead? Let's have a look. Is that a graphical error? Let's see. He's taking fuel on board. This is crucial here for Igor Fraga's race. Where is Mirzano, though?
He's at the source right now. Let's see. So he's coming around the source. Mirzano, I think.
He's done it.
Mirzano's got the lead.
He's done it. Takuma Miyazono has taken the lead away, and also look at Koke Lopez. Okay, he's not made a second stop, but he's up into second. Wong also ahead there as well. But Takuma Miyazono, against all the odds, now leads the way. Things have gone very pear-shaped indeed for Igor Fraga here. He's going to have to drive out of his skin in the latter half of this race. 8 laps now remain here at Spa-Francorchamps, and out of the pits we go. Igor Fraga emerges in third.
Mick is out 4 seconds behind now, so that is the gap. Fraga on the slower compounder tyre, if what we know is true from before. Hizal and Lukowski should bring that gap down fairly quickly, but Miyazono has a 12-second lead. It'll be 16 seconds once Lopez pits. I have no idea how he's managed that, but this is going to be his race. It's now his race to lose, unless the guys behind can somehow come back. Of course, he's been running that soft tyre for an awful long time, so there's a big risk it could go off before the end. But with that kind of gap, I mean, it's hard to look past him now.
At the end of this race, he'll have done 12 laps on that soft compounder tyres. Now, we saw that Igor Fraga did 9 laps on them, so I think he's relatively safe in terms of that, unless those tyres fall off a cliff at the end of this one. I don't think it is going to be anything to worry about for Takuma Miyazono. And what a race he's driven, what a brilliant strategy. We thought it was unusual. He came into the pits at the end of lap 1 for those hard compounder tyres, but he went ugly early. He got them out of the way, and then he went on to the mediums. Now he's on the softs, and this is a masterstroke.
That's the thing. I don't know if it was a good strategy or not, or if it was helped by someone else. It seemed that he got biffed off into the pit lane on the first lap, so it may well have been that. But well, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. We'll say he meant to do it. But you can see through there, look at the slip and sliding, and we're just again seeing just how damaging the hard tyre is around here. I mean, you want to get off it as quick as you can. It's so slow, it seems. Maybe he's a little bit quicker. Here's Koke Lopez, so he's going to be coming to the pits shortly now. Nope, goes round again. He still has the hard tyre left to use, so he has one more stop, so the guys behind will all be promoted. Fraga then, that gap from Mick Hizal has gone down from 4.6 seconds to 2.6 seconds. That's how much quicker the soft tyre is than the medium.
Well, there we are. This is a race that has come down to strategy. Then again, as we said earlier on, it's been a thinking man's race. This one has been. It's been a case of trying different things and working out exactly how it's going to work. And I can guarantee that there were some furious calculations going on with the drivers before this race, working out how they had to tackle it.
I think that Miyazono is still lapping quicker than Fraga.
I'd love to see a timed lap, actually, and
he's still lapping faster. If I'm looking at the relative right, I think he gained about 1.5 seconds on Fraga there that lap. And now, so here's Mick. Now, if you're Mick Hizal, you need to get by Fraga as quickly as you can, and then find some sort of pace that you have never found before if you have any hope of catching Miyazono, our current leader. And I think admittedly between us, Tom, not someone that we thought would be in the top 3 here. Go on.
I've just heard information in my ear. Crucially, Takuma Miyazono is running out of fuel.
Okay, so he's low on fuel. Well, there you go. So he didn't fuel up. So really, Miyazono needs to come into the pit lane. We've just been told by our stewards that he's low on fuel there. So
this is an absolute blunder for Miyazono. He could be throwing what is a near guaranteed race win away here, Jimmy.
And that means that really it will be between Fraga, Hizal and Lukowski. Let's see what happens here. Because if that is the case, he needs to pit very soon, or he's going to be trundling around the circuit when he's run out of fuel. We thought he'd done something masterful there, but that does explain a lot. I thought that the hard tyre was that bad.
2 fast pit stops, didn't he? Of course he did, yeah.
Let's see what happens. In he comes, so Miyazono into the pit lane. That means it's now going to be a fight between Fraga, Hizal and Lukowski. Koke Lopez needs to pit as well, and at the moment Hizal's in the hot seat. He's taking a second a lap.
1 litre. That 1 litre of fuel. The upshot is he's got soft tyres, but he's taking on fuel. This is going to take an absolute age. Lopez is going to take up the lead. Now, where is Miyazono going to emerge? Keep an eye out here. Yeah, Hizal's through, Fraga's through, Lukowski's through. Miyazono has thrown this away. I can't believe it. Absolute disaster there for Takuma Miyazono. He's going to drop massively down here. Lukowski goes through. Rubilar's not made a pit stop, so he'll emerge back into 5th place in this race. We all thought he pulled a master stroke off, and it's just he hadn't taken any fuel on board. He had 2 blindingly fast pit stops, and that's how he was able to bring out that advantage.
What a development here at New York, the grand final of the Nations Cup. We thought it was all said and done, but we just found out that Miyazono running it low on fuel, and now here is the effective battle for the lead. It's going to come down to the wire once again here. Fraga currently leading, but is being harried and caught hand over fist by Mick Hizal behind. Only 7 tenths now between him and the Brazilian driver Lukowski there in the background too. Could this finally be the time Mick Hizal takes a win here at one of these events? Of course, Koke Lopez, who is currently leading, still is yet to pit. It's 2 stops the minimum in this lap, and look how hard the German driver is trying. He can feel feel it now. He goes, right, this is the last person I've got to get by. In the background, Lukowski spins. Lukowski span there on the curb. Oh, it's all over for Cody. Here comes Miyazono. Oh, the block.
Oh, no! Big contact there, Miyazono into the wall.
Cody.
Down at Powon. Oh, my goodness me. Cody moved across the line there. Miyazono went straight into the scene of the accident, and that has put the two drivers out of contention here in this race.
100% on Cody. You can't be doing that. You can't be slow and then dive to the inside as someone goes through. I will not be surprised if we see a big penalty there, and unsurprisingly under investigation. So that means it's now down to 2. It's Fraga, it's Hazal, the heavyweights here at the GT World Tour events, and now going head-to-head at the new Spa, coming very soon for you guys at home. But it's all now this. Hazal's going to have the slipstream, but he's going to have the dirty air for the first part of the course. If he's quick through the source here, he might have a run at Fraga coming down to Lacombe. Let's see what happens.
Well, this has been a race of two halves, hasn't it? We all thought it was over 5 laps ago. We thought that Miyazono pulled a masterstroke of a strategy. And the upshot is now that Fraga versus Hazal for the race lead. Christmas come early, and then some for Mikael Hazal. He has got the chance here, the best chance ever he has had to qualify for the World Final in Monaco in November.
Here comes the toe. Down to 0.2 of a second, not quite close enough for the move. 0.1 of a second nearly there, and you'd see how important it is to be in the slipstream coming up the Kemmel Straight. Hazal now right on the rear spoiler of Igor Fraga, and Lukowski, unsurprisingly, given a massive 10-second penalty.
And the applause there of the audience, it speaks volumes, doesn't it, there for Cody Lukowski. There is the Australian driver, a shake of the head from him, but through into that left-hander, down in towards Pouon we go. 4.5 laps left remaining, as we can see then Igor Fraga defending. Here's the move then again, right, so let's see what we'll have to hear. Into the left-hander of turn 9, Lukowski rotates it round. That's not the important part of this one. What happens is when he returns onto the track, he moves onto the track, he then comes over onto the racing line here. He's slowing himself down, but here we go, look, yeah, he moves over.
You can't do that.
You can't do that at all, no. And Miyazono, nowhere to go.
You can't do that, Cody. That's a real shame. Cody's really been coming on recently in his driving. Yeah, well, but that's not
Leave that there and we'll move on, because this is the battle we're talking about between Fraga and Hazal. 0.7 of a second it now is. Now, can Fraga do anything? Can he extend that advantage? Has he got the pace behind him? Because these guys pitted relatively similar sort of times to one another, didn't they?
We're noticing that...
but Hazal's on the soft tyres as well.
Hazal drops back for the middle sector. He can't hang with Fraga with that dirty air. He can take his time here. If he is this close coming out of the source, he will have the run coming into Lacombe. So it's just about being cool right now and collected. Coca Lopez still out front though. He's yet to pit, so keep that in mind. The fight is essentially for these two for the win. He's right on the back of Fraga. Fraga drops by and lets him go. Oh, I know what he's going to try and do. He's going to try and slingshot back, I think. I think he knows that he's not going to get him coming up to Lacombe, so he's dropped back in anticipation. And now he's 4/10 behind Fraga, so going to try and get by on the slipstream and then lead for the middle sector. An interesting tactic. Hazal goes to the inside defensive. Here comes Fraga then to the outside. He's going to go to the outside, try and get by there side by side. Hazal's got the inside line. This is your battle for the lead, and he goes round the outside. My word, but he's wide.
Oh, he's wide, yeah, into the left-hander of Lacombe, and then into the right we go. Fraga now defending, Hazal trying to attack. This is brilliant as we come down in towards turn 8. No way through there for Hazal. Fraga brilliant there. Absolutely fantastic tactics. We know how much of a thinking man that Fraga can be, and that proves it in bucket loads there. Fantastic stuff from him.
I do wonder though if that's all right. Is it okay to get off the barrel to do that and try and have this kind of tactics going on in a normal racing situation? That could be deemed dangerous, so I don't really know. I mean, it's a great idea and it definitely worked out here. But now it's Mick Hazal, and you're seeing how much he struggles through the middle. He just falls back even though he has that tyre advantage.
I don't think it's a problem there for Fraga to do what he did. He was off the racing line. It wasn't in a dangerous position that he was doing that. He didn't hold up Hazal and force him to go off the racing line there. So I think that was fairly okay. But you can see just how much of an advantage Fraga's got in that middle sector, and Hazal's just not able to close up. Look, there you are. He's not happy though, Fraga. He's not happy with those tactics.
I think he shares my opinion. I'm not sure. Well, we'll see. I'm not a steward. Anyway, 0.8 of a second. Again, using that draft to come back in again. He needs to get within about half a second or so coming out of the source. This is where he can do it. This is where the car is better through the slow stuff. He's got the soft compounded tyre, more traction. And Fraga sideways there out of the exit, and he's going to have the draft down the straight. This could be it, I think. We'll see. So it's 0.6 of a second now coming into the source, late on the brakes. This is where the soft tyres are coming into play. Will Fraga do the same again?
No, he doesn't. I think that was just a one-off there. I think if it had been a repetitive thing, that's when it would have become an issue there for the stewards with Igor Fraga. But, well, he knew that he was a sitting duck on that straight now, and he is going to be a sitting duck once again, up through Eau Rouge, through Radion, and then onto that straight we go. Look at the drive. Mikael Hezal has gone onto the Kemmel straight we come then.
Fraga slowed down over the top.
Yeah, it looks like he did lift a little bit there for him, but of course, bear in mind, tyres as well, giving the benefit of the doubt. Fraga going for the inside line, Hezal on the outside, side by side, they come down towards Lekoum. Fraga defends, he pushes out Mikael Hezal wide, he pushes him onto the curb in Lekoum. Wow, aggressive driving there from Igor Fraga, and he holds on to the lead here of this race. It's the battle for second, but it's the de facto race lead because Koke Lopez, who's leading, don't forget, has still got to make one more stop.
I think that was a fair move. That was a rough move by Fraga, but a rude one, but a fair one. Well, yeah, I'm not sure. I'd love to see his inputs going over the top of Radion there and see if he lifted, because Hezal caught very quickly there over the top and seemingly ran into the back of Fraga, and now that gap extends again. I don't really know.
Fraga is not happy down there. Sorry, Igor is not. Sorry, apologies. I'll get it right eventually. Mikael is not happy down there at all. You can see the frustration there on his face. He's got a face like trying to send him double glazing at the moment. He is not very pleased at all with Fraga's tactics out there on track. And, well, it's down to the stewards to deem whether they think that anything is amiss with them. You can see Fraga there just to the left-hand side of your picture as well.
I'd say that if they're going to give Cody something for blocking, and if Fraga did lift at the top, that's also blocking. So we'll see. But they see 2 seconds in the middle sector alone. Hezal really dropping off now. Has he made a mistake?
I don't know. We didn't see it.
He's dropping right off. Has he run out of fuel?
Something gone wrong here for Mikael Hezal. Let's see what is happening here. Well, something's definitely gone wrong here for Mikael Hezal. 3.2 seconds in the space of half a lap. Now, what has gone wrong here for Mikael Hezal? We saw him take on fuel earlier.
I think he's dropped off. I don't think he's happy. I think he's going, you know what?
Doing it out of frustration, you think?
Possibly. I don't know. It's an interesting one to call. He needs to be careful, though, because Miazano's there in the background. Hezal, I don't know.
It's too close to call, isn't it? Yeah, it really is difficult to call. Nicolas Rublar into the pits. He goes from the medium to the hard compound of tyres in the closing stages then of this race. Puts a little bit more fuel on board. Here's X2019. There is Hezal. There is the frustration on the German-Turkish driver's face. Yeah, apologies there if you can read his lips, because he is not happy at all after that. And, well, we will, I'm sure, hear from him after that incident out on track. But Koke Lopez still leads the way. He is in front on the medium compound of tyres. He has only made that one pit stop, so he's gone really long. What a great middle stint here from Koke Lopez as well. Great driving there from the Spaniard. We've hardly mentioned it because we've been focusing on the battle for the race lead. But Igor Fraga there in second position. Looks like he's on the way to take victory in this grand final in New York for World Tour 3.
Do you think we're going to see a Schumacher-esque drive-through penalty going on here, where Lopez comes in on the at the last
lap of the race,
and puts on the hard compound of tyres and comes across the line? Maybe there's something in that.
Silverstone 98 all over again. He's got 5 seconds, but how much fuel has he got on board there? If he's got to take fuel on board, Koke Lopez, then it won't be anything that he's going to be able to do. But I'm really interested in that actually there, Jimmy. That is hugely fascinating. Is he going to do it here on this lap, lap 18 out of 20? Either way, as we said, a very, very, very long middle stint on these medium compound of tyres.
We'll see. I mean, I'm not sure that is going to be enough time for him to do that. The line is very close. He knows. He comes into the pit lane now, so that's that done.
There we are. Koke Lopez does pit now. What's he going on to? 2 litres of fuel. He had to. Yeah, no choice there. So he's got to take fuel and he's got to take hard tyres on. That's him out of the battle for the race lead then, isn't it? But what about Mikael Hezal? Because Hezal... Oh, he does get ahead. There we go. So, yeah, Mikael Hezal into second position there. Where is Koke Lopez going to emerge in this race? If he didn't have to take fuel on, he might have been in contention for a podium here, but because he had to take... Oh, he's very close. Oh, there is Hezal. There's Hezal. Hezal goes through then. So he's in third. Is Koke Lopez. And does he emerge in third? Is Miyazono close? No, he's not close enough. So Koke Lopez then, with that very long middle stint on the medium compound of tyres, emerges with just 2 laps now remaining on the hards. And if he can just hold off the charge of Takuma Miyazono on the softs behind, he'll be on the podium in third place.
I've got to say, whilst I would share maybe some of mixed frustration, I'm not sure why he's backed off. There's still a race going on. Get involved. You know, you can moan about it afterwards. You're 4 seconds off from the soft compound of tyre. If you're going to just let it lie, then you're going to finish second.
Well, we didn't see what happened on screen, Jimmy. He could have made a mistake. He could have been one reason or another. But
he was just dropping off. I was watching in the background. He's just not on the power, not seeming to really care. And it's still coming off the back now. this is the thing with Hazal. We've noticed that he kind of defeats himself mid-race. He just kind of goes, you know what, I can't win this, and then just basically just stops trying.
It's not the first time we've seen an incident like that, is it, though? So let's keep an eye out, see what happens. Well, I'm sure here from Mick Hazal, we've got the extra lap show coming up after this one. If we can manage to keep Fraga and Hazal separated from one another, we'll put another competitor in between. We'll hopefully get both of their thoughts following this race. Well, don't forget, of course, you can still vote for the Michelin Driver of the Day. Hashtag Michelin FIA GTC. And get involved with the conversation. Let us know who you think your driver of the day has been. What about Jonathan Wong? He's been very impressive. Slowly crept his way through the semi-finals. And, of course, coming into the final here this afternoon. 8th position for him, not bad at all.
Daru's trying to drift the Red Bull X2019 there through the Spanish chicane. I wouldn't recommend that, mate. It's a downforce car. It doesn't like going sideways. Manny Rodriguez there in the background, so there's still going to be a battle here to the line. Rubelar, what could have been? What could have been for Nico Rubelar? Suffered at the start of the race, and Mick Rodriguez sideways into the wall left of Stavlo 2. Just got on the power too hard. There's Danny Solis. You might see Rodriguez in front of us now. Well, I was about to say you might get to the 10th position there, but he just, wow, that's the big hit there for Rodriguez, and there goes his 10th position fight.
Well, there we go, and he's going to come under pressure from Danny Solis, who could make his way up to 11th and does make his way into 11th position, but Rodriguez fights it back into the bus stop chicane. Here, though, is Igor Fraga on the final lap of the grand final of the Nations Cup. What a great race it has been for Fraga. Some would question his moves out there on track, some would call them too aggressive, some would say his conduct on track is not sportsmanlike, but regardless, he can't afford his pace behind the wheel of that Red Bull X2019. And it's been good to see him performing so well once again here. Really interesting to see what happened to Mikael Hazal. Again, we're not entirely sure what happened. Jimmy thinks he might have backed off. He could have had a technical problem that we didn't see on screen, something along the lines of that. It does happen from time to time, but, you know, it could be exactly what Jimmy is expecting as well. It remains to be seen. I'm sure we'll find out down the line. And Takuma Miyazono as well here, Jimmy. Well, I don't know. It's difficult to think about this, really, because we thought he pulled a masterclass of strategy in the early to mid stage of this one, but he had such quick pit stops that we didn't notice he hadn't taken any fuel on board.
Yeah, but he's closing in on Coco Lopez quite quickly, nearly 1 second now, only half a lap to go, Tom.
Yeah, this could be interesting, couldn't it, here for Takuma Miyazono? Let's keep an eye out, see how he goes on that run through the Fagnes chicane, then in through Stavolo for the last time of Austin. Going to come in towards Blanchimont here. Comes towards Blanchimont in a few moments' time. There is Takuma Miyazono. Really good pace he has had behind the wheel of that Red Bull X2019. Onto this straight we go once again. He's not going to be close enough, I don't think, to launch a move unless he just has a superlative drive. Oh, there's a mistake here from Coque Lopez coming in towards that bus stop chicane. But this man here, Igor Fraga, what a drive it has been for the Brazilian. And he comes around the final corner and across the line. Igor Fraga takes victory in the grand final of World Tour 3 here in New York. In the Nations Cup, Mikael Hazal finishes in second, and Coque Lopez finishes in third. Miyazono tries to challenge him in that final corner, and look on the left-hand side of your screen, the face, unfortunately, of dejection from Mikael Hazal. He is devastated following that race, devastated following what could have been as well on the other side of the coin, and quite literally to his left, the elation from Igor Fraga here in Monaco as well. And Danny Solis as well, you can see they're just about to come through the final sector.
Let's see if these guys talk to each other. We usually see a handshake afterwards, a lot of stuff going on. Seems that avoiding each other for now.
I think that speaks volumes, doesn't you?
I think so.
In towards the bus stop chicane we go, and Danny Solis, well, he made it through to the final against all the odds. Solis takes 11th place here in New York, the American driver on home soil here. There is Cody Lakowski. He was given, of course, a 10-second penalty and finishes in 6th position at the checkered flag. There is Igor Fraga. He's down there with Julia, and we'll be talking to them in just a few minutes' time, I am sure, as well. But Igor Fraga.
Yeah, I think Mick is sharing his grievances with some of the guys down there. I mean, what we've set up here has been purely what we've seen. We haven't seen inputs, no telemetry. We're guessing this, but, you know, I think that speaks for itself, really.
It really does, yeah. As you say there, Jimmy, both those drivers not talking to one another following this one. So drama and a bit of rivalry then comes into GT Sport and the FIA GT Championships between Igor Fraga and Mikael Hazal. Some tactics following that race. What do you think about it? Get in touch, let us know. Hashtag FIA GTC to join the conversation here this afternoon as well. Let's take a look at some key moments, though, from this race, then, shall we? The grand final of World Tour 3 here in New York. Jimmy Broadbent, away from the lights, of course, Hazal started on pole.
Yep, Hazal on pole on that medium compound tyre, but we saw very early on that the soft compound was the much quicker tyre, so it's all clean down to the source. clean almost, with the exception of Nico Rublev. Look at him on the outside there, third, second position, gets hit out wide and loses all that time and goes down to the back. Here was the position, come out the camel straight, nice and easy. Fraga through on the first lap using that soft tyre, and look at the advantage through there, nice and easy. Here was Coco Lopez and Mirzano. Let's see what happened. Did Mirzano get fired into the pit lane? He did. Mirzano got fired off into the pit lane there by Koji Lukovsky, so that was an early stop for him, whether he liked it or not. There was Rublev making his way back up the field. What could have been for him, eh? Mirzano there doing the same thing after his pit stop, getting past Manny Rodriguez up into 6th, and here was Brooks and Lopez. Brooks had the pace, but Lopez came up the last second of slipstream, dove up the inside and went up into 6th position.
Yep, as you can see halfway through the stage of this race. Now this was Koji Lukovsky rotating it round, spinning it into the barrier out of turn 9. Rejoined onto the track, and that is where Takuma Miyazono and he met their fate. Yeah, we know exactly what happened there. A 10-second penalty given to Lukovsky. And there is Miyazono. Well, no expression on the face. The crowd behind said it all, really. There is one of the defining moments of this race. Igor Fraga backing off out of La Source, allowing Mikhail Hazal to go through onto the camel straight. They went side by side for position. Fraga got himself back ahead into Les Combes.
This is where I think Mick needed to really just send it up the inside and defend it. So here was the second one. We think we saw Fraga lift over the top of Blanchemont. And that was the, Radion, and that was the issue. This, I think, it was hard racing. This was fair, though.
Yeah, this is the one. Pushes him out a little bit wide onto the curb.
Mick didn't think it was fair.
Yeah, he's not happy about that at all. There is Mikhail Hazal. The real shot is, though, Igor Fraga takes his second victory in the World Tour events for the FIA GT Championships. Coco Lopez just finishes in second place ahead of Takuma Miyazono. Third place, sorry, I should say ahead of Takuma Miyazono, who gave him a really good fight right to the very end. But Igor Fraga, well, what can you say?
I mean, the pace was definitely there, as it always is with Fraga in the Red Bull cars. He loves the downforce cars. But I mean, all I can really do is talk about, I guess, the drama, the controversies there. Sorry, Tom, you have something?
Yeah, I do, actually. I've just heard confirmation in my ear that we are waiting for confirmation of the results. That is why there is a delay to proceedings. So maybe the stewards are taking a bit of a sneaky look at what's happening out there on track, perhaps?
The stewards have a bit more info than us. I mean, all we can do is call what we see up here in the booth. And sometimes we're wrong, sometimes we're right, but the stewards have telemetry. They can see exactly what the players and the drivers are doing down there, so they can give us a bit of a better opinion, a bit of a better upshot of things.
So this isn't over. Let's go down to Julia, who is with Igor Fraga, who finished first on the road in the grand final.
Hi, yes. How are you feeling right now? I mean, it's quite a lot of racing all in one day, isn't it?
Yes, of course it is. I'm shaking a little bit. It was an intense battle in the middle of the race, so it was definitely a tough one.
I mean, talk us through, like, obviously you started off on the softer compound of tyres, and like one of the things is obviously because you can kind of, get, kind of faster and more laps out of them. You made a kind of choice at the start to kind of get ahead. Was that kind of your strategy from the beginning?
Yes. Those cars have a lot of dirty air, so I wanted to just have a clean air in front of mine and just try to build up like a big gap. And then it was like just enough to keep me in front, getting out of the pit. So I think it worked pretty well.
But of course, you don't know what other compound everyone else is picking, so they could pick the same one as you. Like Mick could have picked soft, and you didn't know.
Yeah, but I mean, on this track, have like a long straightaway after the first one. So the soft one, I think it was like the best choice for the goal. Of course, we don't know what tires the others are picking, and also, the possibility it depends on what tires they choose. But if you are if you have the chance, you want to be there. So it's what I did.
So obviously, I think the kind of two key moments that we saw in that was you had this like amazing kind of slingshot that you did. That was pretty spectacular. Was that kind of like a strategy, a plan that you went for? You just sort of thought in the moment, that's what I'm going to do?
Yeah, I just tried a different strategy, especially keeping in the same strategy as the other. It might like being held up with a dirty air, and it's very difficult to go to the front. So I just tried to opt for like a different type of strategy, and yeah, that's it.
And of course, Mick didn't look too happy at the end there. Can you talk us through what happened on the track?
Yeah, I mean, it was a hard racing. Racing can be very hot at sometimes, and I think it was one of the moments. So, but definitely good racing, I think.
I mean, it has been some spectacular racing here. We're still waiting for the final kind of announcements and official sign-off, but congratulations so far, and we are going to toss it back up to Tom and Jimmy.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed there, Julia. Welcome back up to the commentary box. Nice to hear from Igor Fraga, the man who, of course, took victory in that grand final for the Nations Cup here of World Tour 3 in New York. We're waiting for final confirmation of the results following the incident that we saw on track between...
Bit of a theme, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's not the first time it's happened, and probably not the last there either. But away from that, let's talk about Coque Lopez. He did a really good performance out there on track. They're very impressive in that grand final especially.
Yeah, I mean, this is his first podium for a start.
Oh, it is. Of course it is.
Yeah, I mean, a great job. We always say that Coque is there or thereabouts, but this time actually going out there and doing it. And I was questioning his strategy. I thought I wasn't sure if it's going to work out or not, but actually coming in for those starts right at the end and just really minimising the time he was on that tyre really worked out. He managed to hold off Miyazano just on the line. You see on the inside he's weaving. He was hard on the throttle just trying to get any sort of traction out of the bus stop.
Well, here are the stats that he had before this weekend, Jimmy. You can see 4 races, 4 top 10 finishes, but the best finish of 4th in the European finals in Madrid last year. 2 6th places in the Nations Cup in Paris, and then, of course, in the Nürburgring as well. But now he's finally broken that duck. He's finally got the podium. Do you think this is going to be the catalyst to help him move forward, perhaps?
Yeah, maybe. You know, it's always good to get that result, kind of reassure you that you do have the pace and you are good enough to be where you are. It can be quite difficult, especially if you have a run of 4ths. Because you're so close.
Yeah, sure.
But, you know, I think it's a good result for him. I think we'll see a different Lopez after this.
And what about Takuma Miyazono as well? I mean, we saw him out there on track. We thought he pulled a blinder of a strategy. He had us all completely hoodwinked, didn't he? Let's be fair. Of course, you know, forced into the pit lane at the end of lap 1. We thought, hang on a minute, that's a bit unusual, but fair enough. He might be able to make it work. Then we thought, oh, he is making this work. And then we were like, Oh, he hasn't made it work at all. Yeah. No, he's out of fuel, isn't he? Here we are. There's Miyazono out there on track. And we saw some incidents between him and a couple of other drivers, of course, with Lukowski, crucially there as well. Those two coming to blows. That's a very big race-defining moment for both of them.
You think if that didn't happen, Miyazono would have been an easy third. He lost quite a bit of time there, spiraling out of control down at Pouhon. But yeah, I mean, again, just to preface that, we don't have the info up here for fuel, okay?
I've just heard confirmation in my ear, and I'm just getting this information right through as we speak, that Igor Fraga has been awarded a 5-second penalty following that race for lifting, causing another guy to slow down, another competitor to slow down on track.
5 seconds.
A 5-second penalty. Now, I can't remember off the top of my head what the gaps were.
That's not going to change anything.
I don't think it is either. I think you're completely right here. So let's wait and see. I mean, yeah, it does not change the result. I've just had confirmation about that as well.
See, I wonder there, like, I'm not sure if Mick had an issue or if he slowed down afterwards. Maybe he should have stayed on it, but I don't know. Well, I mean, there you go, come.
We've got final confirmation of the results on screen coming up for you now there, Jimmy. So Igor Fraga does take victory in the 2019 FIA Certified Gran Turismo Championships of World Tour 3 for the Nations Cup here in New York. Mikael Hazal finishes in 2nd, Coque Lopez in 3rd, Miyazono and Kokibun, the 2 Japanese drivers, inside the top 5. Great performance from those guys. Kota Lukowski in 6th place after that penalty, of course. Then Wong, Brooks, Darush, Rubilar, of course. His race was really over by the first corner. Daniel Solis, the American, in 11th position, ahead of Manuel Rodriguez. So then, well, that is a very interesting turn of events. A penalty being awarded to Fraga, not for the first time this year either, let's be fair as well. So, I do wonder what would have happened if Mikael Hazal hadn't either had that technical issue, if he hadn't backed off. I really want to hear from him and get his side of the story, and that is the best chance to be able to do so in the extra lap show that we're going to have coming up as soon as this show is finished.
Hopefully we can catch them both. Hopefully they'll both sit down and talk to us. So there is Mick. I think having a look back at what happened, I think they've got a replay up there at the moment. They're just down to our right here on the stage, so we can peer over and see what's going on.
Have a little look and see what's going on. There's a congregation of competitors, I think is probably the best way of putting it, as they all sort of work out exactly what happened there.
The thing is, it's kind of tricky because you think, right, okay, it's causing contact, and you've set a precedent with Lukowski, although I guess that was block and contact.
Sure.
So I don't know, you kind of think, I would not want to be a steward. I never want to be a steward because they're simultaneously the most popular and the most hated people in racing, it seems. So.
Yeah, exactly. It is a difficult one to call, though, isn't it, as well? And I think, you know, as you said there, Jimmy, the right call by the stewards. You were saying about it in the race. You thought that, you know, what Fraga was doing was perhaps unsportsmanlike is probably the best way of putting it. Now, here is Kota Lukowski.
Look at the replay.
Yeah, he is.
So look at that. He had to brake. He had to brake. He had to get on the brakes. That's avoidable contact.
Now here we go. Let's have a look.
He's half throttle all the way up the hill, and you see what they think of it. But I think the stewards have made their choice at this point. I mean,
yeah, you can see him there lifting off the throttle, going up through Eau Rouge. You can see the laugh from Mikael Hazal. I don't think those two will be on each other's Christmas cards list at this point in time.
No, but I'd say the move after that, whilst being rude, was fair. You see Cody going through the incident there. I mean, he's no stranger to incidents, unfortunately, as Cody at the moment, so he's going through it.
So it's lap 17. The incident was took place there in this race. That's because, of course, Frogger lifted in Eau Rouge. It was the reason that was deemed was dangerous lifting is the official reason that was given there.
I mean, I agree. You can't be lifting for Eau Rouge. I mean, if you're lifting in an acceleration zone with a car behind you and you're making him brake through something that is a easily flat corner, that's just not acceptable, and the stewards agree. But the penalty, 5 seconds, I mean, they think that's fair. We'll go with that, and that means even though there is a penalty given, doesn't change anything.
Absolutely, and it's a shame that it has to come down to things like this, these penalties that sometimes are awarded, which it's disappointing because it spoils the atmosphere, spoils the excitement that we normally have at the end of the race because there's this whole delay to the proceedings and such like. But that's the way it goes sometimes.
I'm a racing fan. I want to see good racing. I want to see it finish as it is on the line. Like a lot of you guys at home, I'm sure, in the crowd here today, it's not nice to see it come down to a steward's decision, I don't think.
No, absolutely not. Well, regardless, that is what has happened, and Igor Fraga is the winner of the Nations Cup here for World Tour 3 in New York. So I think we're about ready to get the podium celebrations underway then here and get the confetti cannon, as it is, about to go then. Are we ready? So you can see the podium is lined up on the stage here in New York. And I would like to welcome on stage into third position in the Nations Cup for World Tour 3 here in New York. It is Coque Lopez.
He's happy to be there, isn't he?
He certainly is. No doubt about it. First podium in the World Tour for him. Into second place on the podium here in New York for World Tour 3, it's Mikael Hezal.
Someone who wears his heart on his sleeve is Mick.
Yep, certainly right there for Mikael Hezal. And the winner of the World Tour event here in New York for the Nations Cup, it is Igor Fraga.
Shake of the hand for Coque, but not for Mick.
Again, body language speaks volumes. Please now your respect for the national anthem of Brazil. The national anthem of Brazil plays out here in New York for the winner of the Nations Cup. It is Igor Fraga. And now we are ready to present
the trophy to third place finisher Coque Lopez. And presenting the trophy is James Dimmock, Michelin's eSport manager. And presenting the trophy to our second place finisher of Mikael Hazal, it is Stefan Filostre, head of brand at the FIA. And firstly presenting the Tag Heuer watch to our winner of Igor Fraga, it is producer of the Gran Turismo series, Kazunori Yamauchi. And presenting the trophy is also Yamauchi-san to our winner of the Nations Cup here in New York, of Igor Fraga. I mean, have you ever seen more confetti in your life?
Don't envy the guy on the mop afterwards that had to clean that up lesson.
Oh, we're still doing it this morning, that's the funny thing, from the manufacturer series yesterday. They'll be doing it well into the night here for the Nations Cup as well. So against all the odds, Igor Fraga is the winner of the Nations Cup for World Tour 3 here in New York. Mikael Hazal finishing in second position, and Coque Lopez his first podium in a World Tour event in third place.
Wow, that was pretty heart-wrenching, and yeah, wow, I'm like quite out of breath from all of that. That was pretty spectacular racing. I'm really excited for Extra Lap. I really want to know how this is going to go down, because yeah.
I might have to wear a body vest or something.
I feel like maybe we should separate the chairs a little bit.
Well,
But,
I tell you what we'll do, we'll put one there and one in Salzburg. And that's probably the fairest way of doing it.
To be fair, they're all very, very lovely to each other. And you have to remember that in the heat of that kind of intensity in that moment, to feel like, you know, it could have gone another way and it didn't quite. It's very hard to, you know,
The main thing I want to find out is what happened with Mick as well, because we saw him lifting off and backing off after the incident with Fraga. Now, was that a case of him backing off intentionally, or was there a technical issue? We don't know the cause of that at the moment. So as soon as we find that out, we'll be able to piece together exactly what happened.
This is exactly why we need Extra Lap, because we need to hammer down these details. And it's very, you know, us looking at it from this kind of point of view, we don't know what's going on in their heads or what they're thinking at that time, and that's exactly why it's important to find these things out. And I guess without further ado, we should probably, I don't know, we should probably kick it over to that. It's been pretty spectacular racing. I've thoroughly enjoyed myself. I know these guys have, because I can hear them shouting from all the way down there.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to a break and having a bit of rest for a couple of weeks before Salzburg.
You need to rest your voice after all this shouting. But yeah, we will be back very, very soon with Extra Lap to find out exactly what went on in that Nations Cup Championship. We'll see you very, very soon.
Lukowski leading the field down to T1. That Mazda behind has legs as well. But look at the Mercedes in third position, already in the slipstream of the Subaru. Super GT going to the inside straight away to defend the corner. Looks like he's going to lead into T1. Looks like the Mazda's going to try and make a move around the outside. No. Kaluski takes second place. Greer goes down into third. Matt Gallagher up into fourth. More importantly, Montoya and Fraga up into fifth position. What a start from those guys.
Into the left-hander, he's got Matt Gallagher in front of him through the left-hander, and then coming up in towards, oh, and a bit of a slip and a slide there for Greer. Jordan Greer hasn't made a mess of his exit going through turn number 5, and he slides down the order, and look as well, big drama there as well as Kalusi makes a Horlicks of turn 7. That allows Gallagher and Sim to come through as well as Montoya and Fraga's machine, but that is an absolutely dramatic opening lap, and here comes Montoya now, all over the back of Matt Gallagher. In the slipstream he is. Gallagher's surely going to go defensive and force Montoya to take the long way round into the braking zone of turn 10 we go, nearly down the inside and down the inside for Juan Pablo Montoya, through ahead of Matt Gallagher here in Catalonia, from 9th to 2nd in the space of 3/4 of a lap.
Up into second position. Now, can he chase down Super GT? That's the question. The gap already up to 4 seconds at the front there. Montoya making a hash that hits the curb there, gets it sideways, just about gathers it back up again, but there's a second position he fought so hard for is now lost again. He's going to have to try and chase down Gallagher one more time, but still, despite that little mini half spin there, up into third after the first lap. Here are our leaders right now. Super GT looking nice and easy at the front of the field there.
Because you have more power.
Yeah. Yeah, he says. I think what we have in there was...
Toyota is very fast on the straight. You can take benefit. You know, these guys are battling ahead of me.
Yeah, the voice there of Mike Fernie from Drive Tribe.
Oh, I'm shaking a bit.
Well, I'll tell you what, he's shaking a bit because he's looking at this action going on in front of him as well between Greer and Kaluski. Side by side, they come down the start-finish straight, heading in towards turn number 1, over the brow of the hill. The Mazda on the inside, the Mercedes on the outside. Greer trying to attack against Kaluski. Is he going to have a lunge down to turn 1? Yes, he is, and straight into the back of Kaluski there goes Fernie as well.
Now, this is a good run for Fernie so far. I was very nervous in saying that. I think he's just clipped the curb, so a bit of a commentator's curse right there as Fernie gets it all wrong coming through the large chicane. Very easy to do that given how high the curbs are. That's going to hurt him all the way down the straight now, but in the meantime, Kaluski and Imael behind there having a great scrap on board there with the McLaren. Just trying to hold on to the back of the AMG Mercedes coming down the straight. He'll then go to the inside, coming down the T1. Great overtake opportunity there. So what will he do later on the brakes? It looks like he's going to slide through on the inside. He does in the background. Around as well getting involved. And Kaluski is getting absolutely mopped from both sides. Contact there between the Mercedes and the McLaren. And again, the Corvette running into the back of the AMG. And right now, these guys are in the war. 6th, 7th, and 8th place, right next to each other on track. Now it's going to be a drag down to T4. Let's see who has it down here. Here comes Kaluski in the background. The inside, no, he backs out of it. Ren goes inside in contact with Ismael, and he's going to go through. And Ismael gets just rammed off onto the outside of the circuit. Bad luck for him. Wrong place, wrong time. And Ren goes from 8th to 6th place in a couple of corners. And Kaluski looks to the inside as well. These guys are going at it, Tom.
And now this is the first opportunity for these drivers to change over to their pro drivers. Now, does Super GT do it? We were speaking to him earlier on, and he said that he was going to after 4 laps, and he does do exactly that. Put Mick out of the car. He said he's going to be the faster choice and the better opportunity in this race.
He was saying, yeah, as soon as I can, I'm getting Mick in the car. I know he's quickest, so Mick getting in the car now.
Late on the brakes for Valverde, a little bit too late on the brakes. He misses the apex. That'll compromise his run through turn 2, and will allow Miyazono an opportunity through the right-hander of turn 3. You can see how much more speed he's got. He's got the inside line. Looked like there was a bit of contact between those drivers. It allows Lukowski to draw side by side as well with Valverde. Down in towards the right-hander we go, nearly 3 wide for position. Very defensive there from Miyazono. Here comes Lukowski on the inside versus Valverde, and he manages to find his way through, but Valverde's going to have the inside line again down in towards the left-hander of turn number 5. Let's listen to some team radio.
3.7 yet.
All the drama's happening behind you.
Yeah.
Just got to keep it clean. These lines are beautiful.
Immediately Lopez in the Toyota goes to the inside. 3 wide, they're coming across the start-finish line. We have Lukowski on the inside, McLaren in the middle, and then Valverde on the left. Who's going to come out ahead of this? It's a drag race down to T1. Fernie in front. Lukowski tries to go for both of them. He's going to make it. He's on board side by side, sorry, with Valverde. Puts him off onto the green stuff there. So Lukowski nice and aggressive through there. I wonder if the stewards want to look at that or not, but I think that was just very opportunistic there from Lukowski. But Miyazono coming back on the inside now. It's just placing your car in the right place, and all the while Valverde in the background just looking to try and make those places back.
3 drivers all squabbling for position. You can see Miyazono going defensive. Lukowski has to go to the outside line. Here comes Valverde. He sends it down the inside at turn 7. He bites off and Lopez gets biffed off there in the drama as well. Huge drama here at turn number 10 in the Pro-Am race. Lopez gets spun round. Valverde manages to make a complete Horlicks of his braking zone down into turn number 10. You can see the smile on the face of Bernie Valverde there. Well, I think he's got no other opportunity. If he wasn't laughing, he'd probably be crying at the moment.
Super of Lopez at the front there takes his corner normally. Valverde just goes from another postcode.
Yeah, that was never going to work, was it?
What are you doing, mate? That's not all right.
Goodness me. Meanwhile, here is Igor Fraga now behind the wheel of the Honda NSX. And he's closed that gap down quite significantly to Matt Simmons, who is now behind the wheel of the Jaguar, just in the forefront of his shot now. It's down to 1.3 seconds. Meanwhile, we've hardly mentioned him over the course of this one. Mikael Hazal, what a great job he's doing. 9.4 seconds, the advantage now sits to second place.
Yep, he's just doing his thing out there and he's just driving around. He likes being at the front of the field, just making it easy. And unsurprisingly, we have a slowdown penalty there for the Valverde car for colliding with another car. I think colliding is putting it lightly, but yeah,
it's been a clear-cut romp away from the rest of the field for Super GT and Mikael Hazal. With this battle for second place really intensifying here in these closing stages, Jimmy.
It is, and of course, Fraga really in the better position. He's got the slipstream of the Jaguar in front, and coming up now to one of the better overtaking spots on the circuit. On board, coming through the right left. Fraga got an okay run out of there, but then Simmons a little bit slidey on exit now, dipping into the slipstream. Can Fraga get this done? Here we go. You're going to see now the cars get closer together as Fraga pulls into the draft, and T1 is probably going to be the best place to try and do it. The Brazilian driver pulls up to the back of Simmons. Will he dive to the inside here? He does. The last minute, late on the brakes. Not quite late enough, though. Simmons also braking late to try and dissuade Fraga for making the move. And then sideways there, both of them out of T2 as they scramble to get on the power. And now through the very, very long right hand at T3. This absolutely burns the front left tyre. Simmons going a bit wide there. Fraga now on the inside. This might be the chance, but Simmons comes across defensive and keeps second for now. Will Fraga go around the outside? No, hasn't quite got the grip for that time.
Very close racing between them. Notice how they run down towards turn number 5. Isn't normally an overtaking opportunity. Fraga might try and invent something, but I think he's going to play the long game here. You can see Simmons there going late. He's gone well wide. That's allowed Fraga to go through here on the final lap. Brilliant stuff there from Igor Fraga. He pressured Matt Simmons into making a mistake, and that is exactly what the Australian has done here on the final lap of this Pro-Am race. The Honda NSX of Montoya and Fraga now leads in this battle for second.
Can you hear it? Smooth operator! Come on! Yes!
Well, I'll tell you what, that's an ending to the race, isn't it? Super GT and Mikael Hazal do take victory in the Pro-Am exhibition race here in New York for World Tour 3.
Welcome to the extra lap. It has been an absolutely nail-biting Nations Cup Championship today. And seeing as I'm presuming that you've tuned in for all the action, I really feel like we should rename this the extra hot lap, because I feel like the conversation that's about to happen is going to be very, very interesting indeed. We've had some, like I say, some spectacular racing. I kind of just want to throw it down to the guys on the floor, because here's the thing. There was a few little incidents within that race that I feel like we really need to clear up and to clarify. So Tom and Jimmy are down there with our top 3, which is Lopez, Hazal and Fraga, and is about to find out exactly what really went down.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Julia. Yeah, welcome down to the stage area. We're here with winner of the Nations Cup, Igor Fraga. We've got Mikael Hazal, who finished in second position, and also Koke Lopez in third place as well. Yep, round of applause from all of the crowd here in New York. Well, let's get straight into it. First of all, Igor, we have to talk about the incident, of course, that happened out there on track. Let's get your opinion of it first of all. You know, you were given a 5-second penalty for lifting off, going up through Eau Rouge, where Mikael was trying to pass you as well. What's your take on what happened?
Well, I was just trying to break a little bit his rhythm, and it was not like a brake check or any like aggressive lift. Before going to the carousel, was already lifting a little bit and just to go a little bit slower. So to be honest, 5-second penalty was like a bit aggressive penalty, to be honest.
And Mick, what do you think of that? I mean, we could tell from your body language following that one. Just tell us your thoughts about what happened.
Okay, let's say I want to let you guys know something. I'm always trying to race as clean as possible, like not trying to win something by a dirty move or something like that. It all started like that Igor after turn 1 went to the right-hand side and just tried to have the slipstream to overtake me again. Again, I was kind of like trying not to brake as late as possible because I wanted to give him the space. On the following lap, like, I will let you guys ask a question on here, the spectator, as well as on the live chat. I think you saw the little clip where we were kind of like analyzing the replay there. What am I supposed to do in that situation? Like, I wanted to try to overtake him, and then after seeing the replay, he lifted off on purpose. I went on the brake to avoid a dangerous moving. And in the end, because of me trying all the time trying to overtake him, I needed to save my fuel in the end, and yeah, I'm just speechless. It's like, if this championship is any more biased, I don't know, like, yeah, I don't know. I will let you guys ask the question. What am I supposed to do in that situation?
So, strong words there from you, Mick. So is that what happened following the instant we saw you dropping away from Igor after he was able to find his way past? You were saving fuel in that situation?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, let's say after I tried to overtake him around the outside and as well as getting the slight contact again, me trying to race as clean as possible, but after that, yeah, I needed to save my fuel because with the 3 liters per second on the refueling time, I didn't want to lose as much time as possible during the pits because I still needed to catch up to Igor, who was kind of like on P1 with the medium tires. And as well as Cody also doing let's say, his last pit stop on 1 lap before, I also tried to, let's say, overcut him a little bit so that he doesn't undercut me in the end. And therefore, I'm not getting in the slipstream, but I don't know, I'm just speechless.
Okay, I'm going to put you in a really tough position now, seeing as you're sat in the middle of both of these guys. Have you had a chance to see what happened? Did you see the incident?
Yes, so like a few images, so I don't know at all what happened, but it's not only about the video. I think we should like see the data, and then we will watch what happened really. But I'm just so happy because it's my first podium. And
well, yeah,
I think
of course. Like, exactly.
Yeah, sorry, but yeah, exactly.
We saw you up on the podium. I mean, maybe Mick and Igor being a little bit more subdued, and you're just there like. It was great.
I think after Germany 7th, I needed a good result, and yesterday manufacturer series wasn't very good. So now third place is a good result, and I will train for the next one.
So party for you tonight then, yeah?
Yeah. That was very impressive. Well done there, Koke. So Igor as well. What's the plan for you now going forwards after this one? You've now won 2 World Tour events in the Nations Cup. You won, of course, in Nürburgring. So that's 2 in a row for you. In terms of how you're feeling, your confidence must be sky high. So what's the plan of attack for the rest of 2019?
Well, the confidence is not that high because all the other drivers being like very close in all those events, not only on this one, but Nürburgring also, it comes down to the last lap battle. But you know, for the next one, I'll be focusing more on the manufacturer series and also on my real life racing. And then for the World Final, my real life racing will be over. The season will be over, so I'll be able to put a bit more focus into it because for this one I was able to practice only 1 day, so it was a quite tough one.
And Mikael as well. This is obviously the second time you finished second in the World Tour and the Nations Cup. What's your plan of attack going forwards into the remainder of 2019 for you now?
If it means to win the Nations Cup in a dirty way, then I guess I have to change my driving style then.
Well, there we are. I think that speaks volumes, doesn't it? So there's no other plan. That's I think we'll just leave that there. Yeah, it's probably the best choice.
Yeah, and Koke as well. I mean, we've seen this steady progression from you over the course of this year. You know, 2 sixth places, now finishing in 3rd. Confidence has got to be really, really high for you in that respect. So are you feeling now that you've sort of got that first podium, you can start challenging for victory?
Well, since the beginning, since I started with Gran Turismo and the World Tours, I always try to be consistent because I think it's the key for being fast. Because at the end, if you are not consistent, you can lose the motivation. And I think since European Championship last year, I improved my results. Last 7th, I was fighting till the last lap and the last corner with Igor and Cody. And now, as I said, I'm happy to be 3rd, but I think if the qualifying was better for me, I could fight for the victory. So I'm just going to try to fight for the victory for the next one.
Koke, Mick, Igor, thank you both very much. Congratulations based on your results here this afternoon. There we are. Lovely to hear from all of the crowd here in New York. In the meantime, though, let's head back up to Julia then, shall we? She is with some of our commentators, I believe.
That's right. We've got our Portuguese and German. I'm like really stressed after watching that. Are you feeling? I feel the stress from up here. It's very stressful. Sorry. Welcome, guys. Obviously, if you've been following any particular stream, you won't have met these gentlemen before. They obviously run our German and our Portuguese commentaries for the championships. I feel like we should kind of maybe draw a line under this and maybe talk about something else.
For me, I'm okay to talk.
Yeah, you want to keep going?
I'm relaxed with that.
Oh no, that was really awkward. It was like watching The Office or something. You know, when you get that like thing in your stomach. Oh god, it's just cringe. Yeah, I mean, what do you guys think about it?
I think that these guys are obviously the top guys racing here, so it's very competitive. Everything it's on the edge, and Igor just did his job. I mean, he's in a situation where he's defending the title. I don't see proper dirty racing. I think that he's intelligent. He's very mature, and he does his job. So I think I can see the 5-time penalty coming to show that they should play completely fair. But to be fair, I think it's too hard, even the 5-second penalty. So I think it's a normal situation, racing. It's pure racing.
I mean, you know, you've got to make split-second decisions in the moment, and I guess if the impetus is like where you're coming from is not aggressive and deliberately sort of Machiavellian, I mean, what's your kind of read on it, Florian?
Yeah, for me, you know, I'm been a racing driver. I've had a situation where you get the feeling, you know, I got treated unfair, and that's actually, especially when you jump out of the car or out of the simulator, you know, the emotions are high. So I think, you know, it was held down, and I agree. The stewards make the decision. We can all have our opinion. I think they said, you know, we don't like it to be kind of that, but if the penalty is too hard or not, it's not in our case to decide. So I think I think it wouldn't change anything on the result, as Hizal said. He had a safe few in the end, so even if the pass would happen, probably Igor could get the position back in the end. So I think it's time to talk about different topics.
Yes, I think, you know, we need to sort of draw a line and kind of move on. So Cody Lakowski, let's talk a little bit about him. So he's been incredibly strong all weekend, actually, incredibly strong. What happened to him in that final race? Why wasn't he on the podium?
Since the time attack for the top 6 qualifying today, I was expecting him to fight for pole, to be fair. And then even on the semi-final A, I think for some reason he was not where we were expecting. And then now on the final, the final, he was obviously frustrated because he was not keeping up with the top guys, and he ended up doing that mistake. So it's not really where he wanted to go. He was here to win. I think he was focused and his desire was to win. So not a good day for him.
But I suppose it's also a lot of racing in quite, you know, and he's obviously in the manufacturer series. It's a lot of racing, it's a lot of pressure, and then it all comes down to this climactic final race, and maybe it's too much by the end, you know, like it's too hard to just keep that concentration.
We just saw it in the replay. It was a timey moment where he lost control of the car, and these cars are very tricky. The speed is very high, so as soon as they start sliding, you have to be very quick. And there's one moment where he didn't pay attention. And in the same situation, we saw like Miyazono, he was involved in the incident after with Lakowski. And in the end, he finished in 4th, not far away from Lopez, not far away from Hizal. So without the incident...
With 3 stops.
With 3 stops. I'm not sure the first stop was quite early, if it was because it was quite tight in the situation. If he didn't have room to go anywhere else than into the pit, or so we have to ask him if it was a really strategy or like he was forced to go to the pit because the room on the track wasn't there for him.
I mean, and that's the thing, because like, we don't actually know if it was all part of a plan, if they'd gone in, this is what exactly I'm going to do, or but then, a plan is only as good as what's laid out in front of you. You have to be able to kind of change it on the fly. And I think this is the thing that everyone always ends up taking away from. There are so many variables and things to think about. I mean, it's not just obviously, Laskovsky having to correct when he's it's slipping in those moments. It's everything else you have to factor as well. I don't know how everyone kind of takes it all on board and keeps concentrating on driving at the same time.
I mean, these guys are, as I said, they are the top drivers on sim racing, so they know what they're doing and they are focused and they know exactly how that they should not do mistakes like this Latkovsky did. So in the end, it's a bit like real racing, and we were just discussing this before. When you are inside the racing car, you should not do mistakes. That's not what you expect to do. If you do, you know that you're going to pay for that.
Yeah.
So I think that he's learning from this. He learned already from the Nürburgring thing, where he was one of the guys that should be fighting for the win. He will be good. I think he will be good. He's focused. He's very fast, so he will be good.
It's a lot of pressure for the guys. You see them, especially in the last final race. You see them constantly pressing or changing buttons on the wheel to work on the fuel consumption. You have a look what strategy your opponents or other drivers take.
I mean, one of the things I was talking about actually with Igor Fraga was the fact that I was saying, because obviously he does in real life racing and GT, and how they kind of switch between and what's similar. And he was saying that sometimes when he's doing real racing and it gets close to the crunch point, he feels quite happy that there aren't lots of cameras in his face, because he's like, I could just concentrate on driving and there's not everyone cameras here and people shouting at him, and he's like, actually it's much easier. And I've sort of taken that. It's quite a funny.
Type of pressure is completely different for sure. I never been in the situation of a sim race, let's say. Commentators race, but then it's more of a battle. I wouldn't say that is a race, it's more of a battle. Everybody's crashing, so it's a different story. Now, but these guys have to be really focused, and they have to sleep well, they have to eat well, they have to be relaxed, because it's pure pressure when they are there.
That's very, very true. Well, I believe that we are ready to actually announce what is our Michelin driver of the day, which is actually Miyazono, and I believe that Jimmy is down there with him right now. Let's find out what's been going on.
Well, a cheerier subject now, after that rather intense discussion, of course, about the incident in the race. I am joined right now by our Michelin driver of the day, Takuma Miyazono. Thank you very much, Takuma, for coming down here. First of all, congratulations, driver of the day. How do you feel?
そうですね、嬉しいんですけど、正直ね、勝ちたかったですね。はい。
Well, I'm very, very happy to be nominated Driver of the Day, but to be honest, I'm still a little bit upset. I could have done a little bit more.
Okay, well, tell us about your race. You pitted very early. Did you mean to do that? It looked like you were hit.
そうですね、最初からハードタイヤを一周で変えようと思っていて、作戦は一番良かったかなとは思っているんですけど。
So it was my intention to pit in on the first lap to get rid of that hard tire. So that was my plan.
What happened with fuel? You made an extra stop.
燃料はどうしたんですか？燃料はどうしたんですか？
そうですね、燃料をセーブしてもあまりペースが良くないと思っていたので、なるべく飛ばすようにして、で中低速コーナーとかは少しセーブして、でそうですね、ある程度だから飛ばして走っていましたね。
So I thought it would be best to try and get out of the pits as quickly as possible. I was trying to save my fuel on the corners, but at the same time, I wanted to get out and away as quickly as possible.
Well, lastly, what are your plans for the future? Do you plan to come back and try and get on the podium next time?
今度はどうですか？ポディウムのフィニッシュは取れますか？
もう次はもちろん勝ちたいですね。はい、勝ちます。
Yeah, I'd like to. In fact, yeah, that's my aim.
Well, I'm sure you will be. Thank you so much, Takuma Miyazono, for joining us, our Michelin driver of the day. Let's head back up to Julia.
Wow, this has been an absolutely spectacular. How are you? I was about to say, it's really been spectacular extra lap. For me, that was super awkward. Did it feel awkward down there? Because it felt awkward up here.
I've never been in such an awkward situation in my entire life. I'm just glad there was Koke there to break the two up.
I felt quite sorry for him. He was like, well, I'm really excited, and everyone else is really angry. But yeah, I mean, I hope that Mick can kind of brush this off moving forward and just because he's got such talent, he needs to get out of his head. And I know bad stuff happens all the time anyway, do you know what I mean? You've just got to be able to move forward. I am rabbiting on. Thank you so much for joining us on Extra Lap. Don't forget, we're going to be September 13th and 14th in Salzburg, Austria for the World Tour 4. We're going to see what's going to happen with Fraga and with Hizel there. We'll see you very much. Thank you so much to Tom and Jimmy for being here and for you guys for watching us. We will see you in Salzburg very, very soon for more of the Gran Turismo Championships.